Welcome to Free Fall RC Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Free Fall RC Podcast. I'm Steve, and here with me is Kevin.
Hey guys.
Andy.
Hey, now.
Iaen.
Hey, what's up, guys?
All right, and we have a special guest. Welcome, Dan K. Reed, back on the show.
Hey guys, how you doing?
All right.
Very special guest.
Mhm.
Very special.
Short bus special or?
No, extreme special.
Oh,
You're
okay.
going to bring back so many fond memories.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as people hear your voice, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Mm.
It was good times.
I remember when podcasts were quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they'll give any idiot a podcast.
Uh-huh.
I'm not worthy.
All right, this is episode 325, Dan's Return.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's catch up with everyone's week. Who'd like to go first?
I can go first.
Do it.
Didn't do any flying. Worked. I was on Discord for quite the while on Friday night. Wrenched. And it wasn't on helis. I just did some work around the house kind of thing, and worked like a shitload of doubles throughout the weekend. So yeah,
Okay. Exciting.
yeah, real exciting. So hopefully next weekend I can get some flying in, but this week I just had no time.
Okay. Sounds as exciting as my weekend. Which
All right,
no,
save us, Kevin. What do we got?
well, I actually did something, RC. I spent 5 minutes in my garage cutting up the box that the plane came in last week or 2 weeks
The
ago.
what?
Yeah, an airplane.
Air-
There's a
airplane.
story that goes along with that. Yeah, my friend Mike D, the planker, came out from New Jersey, and before he came down, he shipped a plane to my house and said, "Yeah, we'll put it together, we'll fly it." And he also brought his helicopters with him, or a helicopter. But
Nice qualifier. Thank you for adding
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yep,
Gotta
gotta slip that
swing
in.
it the other way. But he left the plane at my house and the box too, which I'm happy about both, because he was like, "Yeah, just fly the plane. I'm not taking that back home with me. I can't fit that in the overhead." So yeah, I cut that box up
Where's
on
home? From New
on
Jersey?
Sunday. I moved to Florida
Oh,
last year, so that's where I'm at now. Yeah, not really missing Jersey at all. Sometimes missing Fredericksburg area and going down to that. That was always a lot of fun. Yeah, but better job, better weather, of course.
Yeah.
And haven't seen a hurricane yet. Waiting on
Yet.
that one. Waiting for that experience.
how are the summers down there?
They're hot as balls.
Yeah.
But I still say that. I'm even I relocated to Florida, and I'm Floridian now, and I still say that Jersey term.
Hmm.
Yeah. But no, the weekend was cool. I mean, I went to see my mother on Saturday. I know Mother's Day was Sunday, but I was like, I'm not driving up to Leesburg, which is 2 hours. Took my sister. We had a great time visiting Mom. Mom was thrilled we came up. And then my sister's birthday was Sunday, so I took her out to lunch on Sunday, and just didn't have a lot of time for RC stuff. So that was really my week. Didn't really do much. Really didn't even get in the garage to put my helicopters back, hang them back up until Sunday from the week before. They were just still on the floor.
That sounds like me.
So,
Let me go next.
oh, you're gonna thrill Dan with what you got written here.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't here last week, so I used that time when I got in late to work on the Spectre V2. Just a
Nice.
little, like put like 3 bolts in it,
Hey,
but I did make some progress. No,
Good to know.
honestly, it's almost ready, Kevin. You'll see it soon.
See it soon. Very
Yeah.
soon.
No, I'm to the point where basically all I got to do is finish the wiring, like route the servo wires. I've got to put the bullets on the ESC. So I'm almost finished. I'm just down to the shitty part that's annoying.
Oh, I guarantee
But I
you'll
did-
have that
I
thing
did do
flying
something.
before another helicopter emerges from my good friend Steve Shaw down here, who has like 8 of them.
How's that possible? He has
Oh,
all
it's
his free
possible.
time now, right? Like he's retired.
Well, he's almost retired. The 13th is his official retirement date
He's
after
got to
his 3
finish up all the work he hasn't done over the last
after
20
his
years.
3 weeks vacation.
Yeah.
And he was in the office today for some weird reason. Oh, I'll tell you why he was in the office today. He was in the office today to tell me about the whole trust program that the government was trying to instill on us. And I thought it very fitting that Dan was on the show. And at the same day that more stuff from the government was coming our way, I was just like, Dan was one of the people that was like, F you. I'm not doing any of that shit.
I still don't, by the way.
Good for you.
Yeah, man.
So sorry, Andy. Sorry to cut into your week.
Oh, yeah, I already forgot what I was talking about. So I didn't do any flying, but I am buying a plane. I'll get into that a little bit more later. But I wanted to take a minute or two here. I listened to the show today from last week. You guys were talking about taking a break. When I don't fly for a little while, I absolutely fly better when I go back every time, unless it's been like 6 months or something really, really long, which I don't think I've ever went that long. I wouldn't say that after taking I don't know, a month break, might not jump in and be hardly as good as I was, but everything feels better, and I always do my best flights after I've not flown for a while. So just expanding on that topic a little bit, because
Yeah,
since I
that's
wasn't
awesome.
here, yeah,
Let me ask
absolutely, yes,
To add to that, is your first flight the hardest flight? Like
it's
like
the
the
best
hardest,
flight.
it's the best flight, right? But then after that, it kind of like
Mhm.
you self-doubt yourself or second your, like
I don't
second
know.
guess
It
yourself almost.
or it might be, you know how I've talked about when I'm flying, I'm not really paying attention.
Mhm.
It might be that first flight I have to pay attention more, so I do better. I don't know.
Right?
And then after 2 or 3, I guess I start to get bored, and I go back into the same old muscle memory stuff that I've always done. So yeah,
I wonder if
and
it's because like you're on the jazz, man. Haven't flown in a while, and now you're out, and
maybe
it's all exciting.
Yeah, it's like
on the
fresh
jazz. I
air,
thought that was
dude.
some kind of new drug or something they only
that's-
had in
The
Florida.
jazz.
Dude,
Who
that's-
says that?
Yeah,
Come on,
who
man.
says that?
Mr. T says it from the A Team. On
When
the
were you
jazz,
born?
man.
1932.
1939.
Oh, damn.
Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
30?
Even doing the
I can't do that.
even doing something like doing the sim, I like to do like 10, 15 minutes and then just go like no more, and then come back the next day or maybe the day after that, and then everything's better. If I just keep pushing and keep trying, I don't make any progress. I found if I do a little bit and then come back to it later, I don't know, it sets in the brain or something.
I
I
feel
can
like
see
that in
that.
real life, but not on the sim. When I go on the sim, it just blah blah blah. Like I don't know. It just
Yeah, that's why I only do like 10 minutes. You can actually do something for 10 minutes, but any more than that and it just gets boring. So, anyway, Steve, what have you been up to, dude?
I have a lot. I have a lot. A lot of freaking shit happened. So after the last episode, I think it was around Wednesday or Thursday. I'm kind of cleaning up my garage, and my water heater's in the garage, and I noticed like, why is the floor a little wet?
Oh boy.
Oh shit.
Like, yeah, maybe there was like a little leak or condensation or something. I'm not gonna think much of it. And then the next day I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, I need to take care of this. This is gonna get worse, right? So yeah, it was my water heater was leaking. The next day, Friday, I ended up getting one, replacing it. Getting installed, getting all set up, and yeah, I got it all done. The old one's just kind of sitting outside my garage door. I got to like bring it to a scrapyard or something. But that was my Friday. But Saturday, I did get a chance to go flying, even though the weather was absolute garbage this weekend. It was just, projected rain and overcast. But one of my friends from South Carolina, Ben Connor, um, was up in Richmond. So, it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna hit up my local field and do some flights during the day, during the afternoon, anyways. So let's meet up, Ben. And then I also one of my other club members, John Ireland, got him to come out as well. And yeah, we got a bunch of flights in that day. The rain held out. Like I might have felt drizzles, one or two flights, but pretty much I got like I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 flights in that day. Um, just over and over and on the Goblin Raw Puma and the on my Nitro Raw and the Raw 700 electric as well. So it was a great day just flying freaking big 700s, man.
Nice.
Yeah, I got my first flight on the Raw Nitro without the canopy. I got the canopy mounted and everything, the new Puma canopy, so I could have a removable canopy for the Nitro. But I need to clear coat it before I fly with it. So I was just flying the helicopter with just without the canopy, and I rebuilt the motor, so it was like a built motor that I put back in there. So it's kind of like let's do another flight with it and do what do you call it? Breaking the motor. 2.5 on the high, 2 in the mid. It's a OS 105, and I take off and I'm flying. Get the motor hot, and I start kind of pushing it and doing some rainbows and stuff. And then I kind of lean on it and trying to warm up the motor and really get it hot. And I'm doing it, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, something sounds weird. And I guess I've been flying enough nitro now that like as soon as I start hearing something different, I like instantly like ooh back off on the sticks, and I kind of listen. And yeah, I was hearing a little bit pitch change and then the raspiness, and I'm like, oh, my pipe's falling off.
Oh
So I
shit.
throttle hold and I
Oh,
land.
jeez.
No biggie. But what sucked is I didn't bring any tools with me. I kind of packed light, expecting that I wasn't gonna do a lot of flying with the rain, so I didn't want to pack a lot of shit. And so that kind of grounded that helicopter. But it was a pretty fun flight while before the pipe, loosened up.
That was how I blew a hole in the
Yeah, oh yeah.
piston the one time.
If
That
you don't
pipe
like
came off.
if you don't act on that instantly, it
Yeah.
leans out and yeah, it can mess up your motor. After that, I was flying the Puma and the 700 electric, and it's interesting how like the two helicopters are so different. Like so, my 700 electric, I was flying that thing like I hated it. Like full collective, full cyclic, like. Can I boom strike this thing? Can I like do whatever? Like, go on like the far ends of the sticks? And will it take it? And it does. The Raw 700 electric is freaking a beast. It really is. I couldn't believe how much I could just go from positive, negative, full collective wall, like driving the cyclic everywhere, doing like crazy back and forth loops going up in the sky and stuff, and just beating the shit out of it. And it's just like, okay, what else you got? The Puma, on the other hand, being that it's like a lightweight 700 with a 600 power system, I can bog it, but I can fly that really well as well. That helicopter, with the proper motor that I put in there and the pinion and everything now, it is a really fast light helicopter. It's actually scary how fast it is. Without driving, like I'm talking about like running max 19 on the head and like 13 degrees of pitch. And that thing moves like it's, 14 degrees of pitch on like 2300. Like it moves for being such a light heli. It's fun. One drawback is my batteries. I am gonna say the 4,000 milliamp batteries I have. They're awesome. 8S setup is perfect for that 700, but the 4,000s are just too small. As a test, I was running 3 different batteries, 3 different head speeds, to calculate my flight time. At 1680-ish, bank 1, I can get about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, or
Oh,
3
jeez.
minutes and 35
Mm.
seconds.
You're using 4,000 on your
Mhm.
8S? Why so little?
Well, that's what they're prototyping, so that's what I got my hands on, basically.
That's too small.
Yeah. So I'm asking for 5,500. I think that would be the ideal size weight, you know. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I was like, let me see what Bank 2 is. And Bank 2, I'm running about 1780, 1800. So a little bit more on the head. And that's about like, I don't know, 2.5 minutes. And this is me
Jeez.
with that head speed, I am rocking it. I'm, constantly flipping it, constantly moving the helicopter, pushing it around, whatever rolls, doing things, and then of course, let's see what Bank 3 at 1980 is gonna be like. And that's 85% on the YG. I can go higher if I wanted to, but at this head speed, I was getting about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And that was like 0% beeping, land, and I land, So yeah, I probably went a little bit further into the pack than I wanted to, and it was yeah.
Wow.
So I
Man.
need bigger packs.
Yeah, a 4008S would be good for the 600,
Perfect for a
but
600.
that's too small for a 700.
Yeah.
My opinion, need to be at least 5,000.
Yeah. But other than that, I did a bunch of other stuff. I did some wrenching. I've been building up that raw Nitro HD Dan Murnane's kit. Come find out, I am missing a couple parts that I thought I had. So I have a parts order in with Iaen. Iaen seems to be the only company that had everything in stock on the parts I needed. So I ordered from them. Those are shipped, and I should be getting it soon. I got an email from my RC Japan order for the 55 parts. They're on back order. So the piston, the liner, and the ring. So like the most important parts that I need. We're on back order. Till the end of May, they said. So, they said end of May they'll be able to get it and ship it out. So it is what it is. I'm just gonna wait for it. I have other nitros to fly, so I'm not like, out of nitro helis. So not a big deal. And then beyond that, Sunday was Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Hope everyone had a great Mother's Day out there and spent some time with their moms. Okay. What about you, Dan? You want to kind of...
I didn't get any flying in this week.
Yeah. I heard you went to a fun flight, though, that wasn't there, huh?
I did. First of all, I'm feeling a little self-conscious here because I'm seeing that my microphone is picking up a lot of what seems to be extraneous noise. So I hope I'm not causing you, Andy, too much headache here with substandard sound, but not really set up for this right now at the moment. So, yeah, so
you get a pass.
I get a pass on that. It bothers me. It still bothers me. Anyway, yeah, so I went to what I thought was going to be a fun fly, but I wasn't terribly surprised considering that it had been raining. That's something that's different about the East Coast. It had been raining nonstop for like 3 days. I mean, we never saw that in Montana. But I drove out there. It's like a 2.5 hour drive out to, I think it was Ocean City or Jackson, New Jersey, somewhere in that area, Ocean side or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So my wife and I drove out there. She was excited. She'd never really seen the helis. She's seen my helis, but she's never seen them fly.
Oh, wow.
So she was kind of excited to see what that was all about. Unfortunately, we got there, and again, not too surprised. The weather was just horrendous, wet and windy. It was actually quite windy. We were going to stay the night over there at Ocean City. I think I'm getting the name right. I don't know, to be honest with you. It's on the Facebook page, but there was just nothing open. We were expecting, I don't know, something, but there was nothing. So we just decided not to stay, and we drove back home. The weather was really shitty. What's that?
How far was the drive? Like how long did it
take?
It's
not too bad. It was 2.5 hours, maybe 3 with the weather the way it was. Which coming from Montana, that's nothing. I mean, that's a trip to Walmart almost.
Wow.
It was not a big deal. So I guess they had postponed it till the following week, is what Steve, you were telling me. So I think we have an obligation this weekend. We might try to make it out on Saturday just for a little bit and then drive back home. But We've got a big Marine Corps. My father-in-law was in the Marines in Vietnam, and there's a big picnic for the local Marine group, I guess. They hang out quite often, do stuff like that.
That's
So we're
cool.
going to that on Sunday. But yeah, there's been quite a few changes since I've talked to anybody in the heli hobby. Most of all, which people find pretty surprising, myself included, my family. It's just they were flabbergasted, but I got married.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats, dude.
Yeah, that was a shocker to me. I just assumed, 50 years old, pretty set in my ways, and I still am set in my ways, but she's pretty lenient. She kind of lets me do my thing. She does her thing. But yeah, that we got married last November.
Nice.
Of course, I was living in Montana. She was living in Idaho for 2 years. We were kind of dating, kind of long distance. She was in Coeur d'Alene, which is, I don't know, 3-hour drive. And about a year before we got married, we ended up living together there in Stevensville for a while, a year before we got married. And I was working for Skyfish at the time, and we had to. The circumstances aren't all pleasant, but we ended up moving out to Pennsylvania, mainly because her mom and dad at the time, last October, got COVID, and her mom didn't make it. And
Oh God.
Oh no.
so we kind of had to make one of those life-changing decisions. Her dad is a disabled Vietnam vet. This guy, oh man, he got shot in the head twice and
Oh my God.
shot in the shoulder in a helicopter. 19 years old. But he does pretty well. It's not like he can't, he doesn't need help with ADLs exclusively, but activities of daily living. That's the nurse in me, sorry.
Yeah,
But he
I totally understood.
he does need a little bit of help, and so it was kind of it just seemed like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
We would move out here. There's lots of opportunities out here for work. I tried to make the Skyfish thing work, and of course they're still going strong. I was director of operations there. Hard to do that from 2,000 miles away. Did the best we could for a number of months, and it just wasn't working, and I wasn't feeling it. I couldn't. I wasn't feeling effective in the position. Still have a vested interest in the company and wish them the best. It just made sense that we find somebody there locally that can do what I was doing there. And sure enough, we did, and kind of just slowly handed over the reins of everything that I was doing, which was pretty much the day-to-day operations, logistics, and handling production and inventory and ordering and all that jazz. Kind of got that all turned over to another individual and started cutting down my hours. And now I'm looking at trying to find another job here in the area. And whether the job market out here is way different than it is in Montana. That's a whole nother story. There's just a lot of opportunity out here for those who want it.
Are you
But
still doing the nursing stuff?
no, I am going to have my license transferred. Pennsylvania is a compact state, which means I can practice in Pennsylvania for a limited number of months before I have to actually get a PA license. But I'm in the process of getting the PA nursing license. I can't really do bedside nursing. I mean, the same issues, although my health has improved greatly since back in the RCHN days. But still, the fact is I've got a really, really bad back, and I can't do a lot of physical labor. I can't stand or walk for long periods of time. And I could do administrative nursing, but they want master's degrees for that out here, which is a little troublesome for me because I don't have a master's degree in nursing. So
Wow.
I could do administrative nursing with my experience in management, but trying to stay away from that. I'm trying to work more into production manager, product manager, and project manager and product manager. They're two different jobs there, and operations. So that's kind of what I'm doing out here. But that's kind of the boring, kind of the quick catch up. That's kind of what I'm doing. You know, I've done something that I didn't think I'd ever do, and that's get back on Facebook, and it's been pretty amazing.
I'm sure you've been getting a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, when I stopped doing RCHN, I just needed an exit, and I actually deleted my Facebook account, which had like, I don't know, 800 or 900 mostly heli related people on it. And I just dumped it. I did not look at Facebook for a number of years, and kind of getting back into the hobby, especially being in a new area, hopefully making connections. You know, I've tried to go down to some local hobby shops, and you know, no one really does helis at the hobby shops anymore, right?
Yeah, if you can find a hobby shop. Good luck.
There's actually one in Mechanicsburg, just a few minutes north of me here, but
nice.
You know, they do a lot of cars.
I know quite a few folks from the Philly area, but in PA in general. So definitely, if you go to that Fun Fly, you're gonna meet a lot of them. And you know, Rob McClellan, who's you know, McToon, one of my good friends. You know, he'll hook you up. So
yeah,
introduce you to everyone.
So yeah, it's kind of an interesting journey. I kind of gone full circle here, and I'm looking to get back into the hobby. And I had all my heli shit that I kept. I didn't sell a lot of my stuff. I always, you know, if you guys remember back in the day, I was one of my main piece of advice I'd give people is if you're going to leave the hobby, don't just nilly-willy sell all your shit. First of all, you're not going to get anything for it, and second, you never know. And then you're going to come back to the hobby, and you're going to end up dumping, you know, thousands back into it.
Pay double to buy it all back.
Well,
you didn't even get
I kept most of my helis. I did get rid of a gasser or two, and I kept most of them. And what I did sell, I'm regretting. Like I sold my charging case, so I had to get a new charging case, which those aren't cheap.
Are not much nicer now, though. Anyways.
Yeah, and I don't, you know, the charging technology's changed a little bit. Now, keep in mind what I was doing with Skyfish. We were, you know, drones. We were building multi-rotors. You know, so I was still kind of tapped into that. You know, we were having Progressive RC build all of our cases out there.
Right.
So I was still tapped in, but we were using relatively old technology. I mean, good, solid technology, but they've changed. There's a few new players in the market, and I was quite surprised to see Rebel Electrics is kind of gone. That really surprises me. I almost got into a deal with those guys with Skyfish, or with Skyfish. They were going to potentially build a bunch of charging cases for us, but I see that probably was a good thing I didn't get involved with them because
see, it's your fault. If you'd have got that deal done, the business could have kept going.
Well, the thing of it is, from an industrial standpoint, and you know, I keep in touch with Joe Cashwell. In fact, I actually bought a charging case from him just the other day, and he just got it the other day. But and the thing that I was noticing, and you know, Rebel Electrics was trying to do the same thing. And why I ultimately went with Progressive is because, first of all, I've worked with Progressive throughout the years with RCHN and knew that company and those folks really well. But I wasn't looking, from an industrial standpoint, I wasn't looking for a bells and whistles LED, you know, kitted out, fancy looking like master control station. I just needed kind of a workhorse, something that wouldn't overheat, something that had the appropriate power and the appropriate charging, you know, USB leads and was easy to use, watertight, all that good stuff. Kind of a basic case, nothing really fancy. And we were building at the time, still are at Skyfish, we're building proprietary batteries, having them made similar to, I guess, I hate to compare to DJI, but you know, that's, if you're in the multi-rotor world, that's kind of what you have to do to some extent.
Yeah.
But much like you know, like a DeWalt drill, where the batteries just kind of click in. So we had our own, we designed our own kind of proprietary interface, and we had given Progressive those drawings, and they had that all made up. So we had kind of a custom proprietary click in, and
That's cool.
one button start, push, that nothing.
Nice.
Everything was pre-programmed, and
Yeah.
users really couldn't get in there and
Make it simple.
Yeah, very simple. One of the, we worked a lot of government contracts, and one of the things I heard quite often is, I need this to be so easy that a drunk soldier can make it work, right? Which everything just needs to be super, super simple and rugged. But anyway, so I did kind of have I was involved in some aspects of what we consider the hobby, but kind of from a different perspective with Skyfish. But jumping back into the hobby has been a bit of as I kind of started this little rant, was it's a bit overwhelming in that we just had our basement redone, and I kind of got a nice little work area down there that I haven't quite got moved into, because we actually are just finishing up the painting this weekend, painting of the walls. But I got some desks down there, and I threw some of my helis on there, but I've got 7 HV Forza 700.
Oh wow.
I still have the 2 Nitro line Cool Power 700s.
Mhm.
And I've got a couple of, I still have that original JR 550 that I started with all those years ago. That thing's flying. I haven't flown it in a decade, but could fly. But I'm looking at these helis, and I'm like, Jesus, where do I start? I don't know what to do here. So I just kind of sit there and stare at them for a little bit, going, one of these days I'm gonna actually figure this out. So
Yeah.
one thing that I did notice is in the move, I've moved twice in the last year and a half. Well, I guess it's been 2 years now. Somewhere I've got heli parts strewn all over from Montana to Pennsylvania. I used to have 4 Futaba 14 SGs. You would think I could find one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm stuck right now with the transformer radio, the JR XG14, which I've never used. Well, actually, I did use it on the Forza for one flight, but other than that, I've not used it. I did get rid of the V control, which I kind of wish I hadn't have done now, but at the time it seemed like the right thing to do. And just a lot of tools, a lot of
They're kind
small.
of unobtainium right now.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's just a lot of the little tools and bits and pieces and bobs that you collect as you do through the years of building and flying helis. And I did find enough parts to rebuild 4 YS 91s. I think they're 91s.
Nice.
Don't remember for sure, but I got all the parts for that. And so I really want to get back into Nitro, but I see Nitro's really gone up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a Nitro, ridiculous.
I have to call Cool Power up and see if they'll still honor I used to be sponsored by those guys.
Yeah.
I was paying just ridiculously low prices for that. I probably shouldn't say how much I was. They probably wouldn't appreciate that, but it was ridiculous how much I was.
Whatever it is, multiply that by 20 and you'll be pretty close.
And it's just crazy. I saw they were selling a case of it for like $160 some.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then add the hazmat,
Sure.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
One thing that was exciting, you guys all know James Cadiz, I'm sure, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was pretty excited to hear that I'm getting back into the hobby, and it kind of sent me down that Synergy line. He has a Synergy N7 he's going to send me just so I can build it and, maybe get back into the setup of a heli through a new build. See how that goes, and probably never fly it because you can't get parts for it anymore.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, there's people dumping airframes. I know my friend Alex, who used to be up in New York, moved down to Texas. He has, I think, 2 airframes or an airframe and like a whole bunch of parts for $350 or something like that. So,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, people are dumping them still.
Yes, I've started kind of hanging out on Heli Freak again, and
Mhm.
you know, I don't know. I get kind of a mixed read of what I'm seeing there, and part of me wants to believe that there's a lot of folks out there in similar situations that I'm in right now, where it's been a few years, and we've just gone through the whole COVID craziness, and people are now starting to get back out and enjoy the outdoors, and I don't see it a lot, but I just have this sense that there's going to be kind of a resurgence, and maybe I'm just being overly optimistic, but I see posts occasionally, and in talking with folks that have reconnected, kind of in the same boat. It's like, yeah, I've been in the hobby for 3 or 4 years. I'm kind of thinking about coming back, but I'm just not quite sure where to start. How do I get back into it? I wish I hadn't have sold everything. Now I got to buy new. I don't even know what to buy anymore. Who are the players in today's world, right?
Yeah.
Whose machines can we buy that we know we're going to be able to get parts for next year?
Right.
They seem to be falling quite rapidly, but
Okay, well,
I've
tell them
always
to
kind
all listen to this episode first, and we'll talk about it here.
of yeah, I don't know, man. It's an interesting. The hobby's in an interesting state. I was talking just the other day to Kyle Stacy, just out of the blue. He and I started talking to him again, and tried to get his take on it. He didn't really have an answer. He couldn't really tell me one way or the other if he thought that potentially it felt like there was going to be some sort of kind of a rebirth or resurgence of the hobby. Seems like he would know if it were happening, because he's kind of got his finger on that pulse, right?
Yeah.
But it depends. I talked to James Cadiz, and he's like, yeah, man, I feel it. It's like people are starting to get excited about helis again. Relatively low sample. It's hard to tell,
Yeah.
right?
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I am. I'm getting excited
I'm
about
a little more pessimistic about it, for a
Same.
couple reasons, but
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about it. So
Yeah.
There's
I
actually
think,
a couple guys in my neck of the woods that's one of them, he's still kind of interested. I've seen him at the field just watching people fly. And another one, he just actually just picked up a XL Power V2, and we're gonna try to get out to the field next weekend and try to maiden it with him, throw down some flights. But he hadn't flown in like 3 or 4 years either. But he sold off almost everything, but like his charging case and like a few other things. But so I think he's kind of in the same boat as you as well.
yeah. Well, it's never been easier. Think about how the technology's improved. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm really, I might be speaking out of turn, because just in the last month I've been kind of reading back into the hobby and kind of stirring the tea leaves, as it were, and seeing what I could predict. But it's never been easier with sims and with all these micros, which I hate. Micros, still do, but that's neither here nor there. It can be affordable. It can also be extremely expensive if you want it to be. The way I approach it, it's going to be expensive because I like big helicopters. So I'm going to pay a lot of money for those helicopters. But I certainly am not obligated to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger the better, as far as I'm concerned. That's the way we learned back in the day. We didn't really we had sims. We had Phoenix back in the day, but there were really no micros worth of shit. And we all started on 600s. Or 50s, as we called them back then. You guys remember that? 50s and 90s.
50s, 90s,
50s and 90s.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Oh, Jesus. I just remember flying that JR Vibe. I was like a pit crew getting that thing back in the air. Learning to fly, you break the same parts over and over. And for that particular helicopter, it was landing gear and the umbrella gears, because you bounce the tail on the ground. And I just got to the point where I could swap those out in no time and just order 10, 12 sets of them at a time from Heli Pros, just to keep that thing going. But it's different nowadays. I'm excited to kind of see whose helis are out there. SAB, of course, and we were talking a little bit before you guys started recording about some of the new players, or more consistent.
Let's talk about it. I mean, for someone getting back
Yeah.
into the hobby right now in the helicopter scene, I mean, I'll say it, SAB and XL Power are the top two kind of trending folks right now. Keeping the products constantly coming. Like, every 6 months they're releasing something.
Right.
Keeping things hot and fresh. And then I guess some of the other brands are still around, like Miniature Aircraft. I mean, they're still out there. They're still solid. Align is still out there. You
So
get parts,
that company from
solid.
Germany bought Miniature Aircraft, right? Some guy from
Yes.
Germany.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
are
Guy and
they?
his wife.
Yeah. Are they
They're
just
awesome.
supplying parts, or are they actually putting out?
No,
new
they're
models?
putting out kits. He's
Mhm.
redesigned, updated kits.
Okay.
Yes.
He's got some new kits.
Yep.
And they're fantastic. They come to
Fantastic
IRCHA
people,
every
too.
year. I mean, they're the greatest people.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had just
nicest
bought
people you
that.
ever meet.
Yeah.
Right. They had just bought that when right when RCHN was ending,
hmm
or roughly in that time frame. But I'd like to. I got to admit, one of the first things that when I thought about coming back to the hobby, the first manufacturer I went to was Align, just because back in the day
Mhm.
it was the
Yeah.
consistent go-to. I mean, I remember joking about it. You're in the middle of the jungle in South America. You stop to get gas, and oh, by the way, can I get some of those main gears you got on the wall? It's just like you could find that shit everywhere. The one problem I started having with the Alliance towards the end of my
Which model, which part number?
well, yeah, it's like, how do you know which goddamn
Yeah.
part you need, right? It's like, do you need the upgrade of the upgrade of the upgrade, or
It
do you
gets
need-
very confusing.
yeah, it's like,
Right.
how do you know? Well, geez, I'm not sure which main shaft I need, so I'm going to buy all 12 of them. One of them is
Mhm.
going to work,
Mhm. Yeah, and I
But,
feel like they've kind of been stagnant the last couple years. I don't know.
I mean, what
I
have they
remember
done
seeing
recently? They have that M2
Did
clone, right?
they're doing a 600 something.
They did the whole
did a
Fusion
650.
line, and then they got rid of that. Well, I mean, that was small
Yeah,
stuff.
they got a
Don't they have-
650 and 750.
don't they have a new Nitro? What do they call it? Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
They have
Nitron?
a 600. No, that's
That was like a couple years ago.
the Nitron is the Tron.
Oh, is
Nitro
it the Tron?
600,
So is
yeah.
that? Boy, that's another whole story, isn't it?
Mhm.
One thing
Sure
that
is.
Yeah.
one thing that really surprises me coming back and absolutely not being involved in the hobby in any way whatsoever was the goodwill. And it really surprises me that Matt Bodos let that goodwill that he had in his hobby kind of go by the wayside. I mean, it's like you used to never see people talking shit about Matt Bodos on the forums, right? Boy, I was really surprised when I went through that Synergy forum on HeliFreak last week.
I'll
There
bet.
was some
Why, are
angry
people
folks.
talking shit about him?
Well, it's just the fact that obviously he had some IP issues,
Sure, yeah.
which anytime you go to China to have your product made, that's going to happen. It shouldn't have been a surprise as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah.
apparently a serious lack of communication between him and there's a ton of and if anybody had dedicated brand loyal fans, it was Matt Bodos, right? It like
Plus, yeah,
he had some
Hundreds of-
hardcore folks.
tons of team pilots too. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, he had guys that they're willing to wait 2 years for parts, but they also want to know what's going on. And everyone's like, the forum, this particular post or thread I was reading was talking about how, well, he did put an update on the Facebook, and it was like from 10 months ago, and there's not been anything since. And that was, hang in there, guys. We're gonna have parts for your.
Oh no, he's
Kurt-
done.
you know,
with that.
Kurt
He's
Moss.
doing RC car parts right now.
That's what I heard. Yeah, RC
Yeah.
car parts and and e-bikes. From what I saw on his
he's kind of
webpage.
moved on.
Well, it's unfortunate because he left a lot of folks in the lurch, and that just
Yeah.
surprises me because he was such a respected member of the community.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I understand coming from the manufacturing world. Trust me, I understand the heartache that currently manufacturers are experiencing with supply shortages. I experienced it at Skyfish in a grandiose way.
Mhm.
When you carbon fiber, I mean, we were going from 8-week lead times to 10-month lead times for
Mhm.
simple 25 millimeter carbon fiber booms or tubes, and just carbon fiber. Not to mention the integrated circuits.
Yeah, I was going to
It's-
say electronics and chips
Well,
is a real
chips
problem
chips
too.
we were buying for $2.50 a piece in a very short amount of time. 6
Mhm.
months or less went from $2.50 upwards of $50.
Right, right.
Ooh, right.
And you
Right.
can't get them.
And
Mhm.
yeah, and you still can't get them. And so you try to get a little creative with your with your supply chain, and what you end up doing is buying burnt or dead chips or clones of chips that simply don't work, and still paying a premium for them. And we kind of fell into that trap with some of our parts, and that's
Yeah, it's
That's
a
a
real
nightmare.
problem.
it's an absolute nightmare. It's an issue that our government has put us in the last 10, 15 years by letting all that manufacturing move out of the country. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother
Sure.
podcast.
Absolutely.
But it's certainly the fault of ours. We put ourselves in this position by letting
Made it
that
too
happen.
easy too.
Yeah. So
Too easy
But
to
yeah.
get aligned. But
So
yeah,
Dan, I got a question for Dan. What companies, helicopter companies, are you surprised to still see, and which ones are you surprised they're gone, if any? Either
Well,
way.
I was kind of surprised that Synergy wasn't a thing anymore. I was kind
Right.
of surprised that Thunder Tiger isn't really making helis anymore. I see they're making drones. I'm surprised and not surprised. Coming from the drone world, I mean, dude, that world the market is so much larger, right?
Mhm.
It's easy and and it's really not that hard to make a decent drone. Depending upon what your end goal is. But I was a little surprised that Iaen kind of seemed to always have kind of a loyal following, and they were kind of the redheaded stepchild of the hobby. Yeah, everyone liked to talk shit about them. They're kind of like that girlfriend, that you had in high school. You didn't really want to tell your friends about her, but boy, you sure enjoyed hanging out with her, right?
Right.
all your friends
I
did too.
loved my Iaen 700 Nitros. Those
Yeah.
machines,
Yeah.
thousands of hours on those machines, just flew the shit out of those machines, and I really did enjoy them. And sure, they were nothing fancy, and but they got the job done. And I just, one thing that kind of caught me by surprise is the lack of just kind of the online shops that I used to go to.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
another thing.
It's I used to, being from the Pacific Northwest, I was a big supporter of Lower Heli. He was kind of our go-to. He's still there, but he doesn't really. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be a lot of kits available. I mean, he used to be the Align guy. It's like if you needed something Align, you go to him. And I went to see his kits that he's got available, and he's got some small 450s and shit like that, but
Yeah.
nothing in stock of larger crap. But I'm as far as manufacturers, I don't really know. I'm not surprised that SABs, because they do kind of shine. They kind of shine the shit every 6 months. It's not a big change, but it's a big enough change. And
They're experts at marketing as well.
yeah, they're very
Which
good
helps.
at that. Very good at that. I don't know. I guess is JR still making helicopters?
I don't think so. I
Yeah, I
think
don't think they are.
D-Force maybe took over doing the electronics and servos. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
what-
they're building heli kits, are they?
I thought I saw a post. They were talking about. I don't know if they were talking about bringing any new models out, but I think they are doing parts support for some of the 700 in particular. I still
Maybe.
think parts are hard
Not
to get.
sure.
Hard to
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
But
The companies, stores aren't really stocking those parts of those helis because there's not a lot of folks,
right.
actively
That's a nice
flying it.
machine. I didn't fly it a whole lot, but it's a nice machine. It's definitely one that I'll get back in the air.
Oh, I just remembered Compass left since you left the
Yeah.
hobby, right? You
Right.
mentioned your 7HV.
Yeah, and I don't
That was
think
kind
I
of a
could-
big deal when they closed shop a few years ago.
Didn't they move? I know they went from the 7HV to the Kronos or some shit like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Which you could as I remember, you could get an upgrade kit to get your 7HV to become a Kronos. As I remember, I don't know,
Yeah, I think that's right.
but I don't know if parts are available for that. I've got a lot of helis.
No, there'll be no parts for any
Nothing.
Compass stuff.
Nothing.
The word on the street was the guy decided he was done with it, and he went through and destroyed all the tooling and all the,
why would
surplus
you do that?
stuff.
Yep.
The dude in Germany, wherever they were made,
Scrapped
he just
it all.
I'm done. He didn't try to sell it or anything. He just destroyed it all. So you might as well just hang that one on the wall, Dan, and
He must have been pissed. That's such a nice flying machine.
I know.
Yeah.
I know a couple people that's got 6 HVs. Absolutely loved them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just they're dead now.
I've got a lot of parts for that heli. I could probably crash it once or twice. I've got key parts for it, but not a ton.
Yeah.
And I know Dan had an Oxy at one point, Oxy 3 for about 4 days.
Yeah,
Right?
I've had a couple
Yeah.
of them, but
Yeah.
they never last long. I get a wild hair at my ass, and I decide I'm going to try one. Mainly because some good friends try to talk me into it, and they give me a really good deal. I've had actually a friend of mine actually give me one, trying to get me to fly it, and yeah, I mean I'll fly it once or twice, and
Well,
I'm
next
just
fun
too
fly,
old.
next fun fly you're at, you'll see probably an Oxy 5 in the mix. You can check out the
Yeah, I saw
engineering
that.
on that. And
I know
In
James
fact-
Cadiz has an Oxy 5. Yeah.
oh yes, he does.
Yeah.
If you
I
come
know where-
to the free
I know where
falls
that came
there,
from.
you'll see the Oxy 7.
Oh yes, true.
Is that an electric or a nitro?
The electric, all the types
Yeah.
they have out.
700, 690 size, right?
690.
690.
Yep. Yep. The Oxy Flash.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of all the names of the helis we have now, Dan?
Mm.
We got the Oxy Flash, we got the Goblin Raw, we got the
Spectre.
Puma,
The
we got
Buddy.
the
Nimbus.
Buddy. There's a gasser company called G Things. What do you think about these
Thanks.
things?
I don't know.
Thing-
man.
Angs. Thanks.
I don't know.
Did we lose our way?
No, I don't think
Because
so.
I think all these names are stupid as fuck.
Well, the thing of it is, so
It's the
I
times.
working with Skyfish, we hired some young, eager marketing folks.
Okay.
And so I kind of got used to that, and I just stopped paying attention, because at some point it's just not worth dying over that battle. I mean, it's just not worth that hill. It's they're trying to be hip. They're trying to be.
still make fun of
They're not marketing that
Yeah, we
shit
can still
to
make
me.
jokes.
Right. Oh, sure we can, and I'm sure we will.
Oh,
they're not marketing that to me, and that's maybe what's important, right? Because they got to get some new blood into the scene. I mean, they could probably call these thing, a turd, and we'd probably still buy it. Those of us, that have been in the hobby or want to come back into the hobby from years ago. It just that doesn't really concern me a whole lot. I don't really pay much attention to it, but yeah, I mean, they're just trying to.
But you know what?
fit
You know what,
new-
Andy?
What's
I
that?
could just see the whole marketing behind that. The whatever turd. It flies like shit. Well, you knew that when you bought it. It's a freaking turd.
That's my
The
nickname
Turd
for my
700.
line helis was turd.
No, I was saying Andy, but you know what? How much have we been talking about these stupid
Oh, I
names like
know.
the Raw
They
and the
win.
Nimbus and stuff?
They
They
win.
win.
Oh yeah, I
their
forgot
work
about
is winning.
Nimbus.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Nimbus
Yeah.
isn't so bad.
Yeah.
No, Steve's
Nimbus
right.
Cloud.
Just
I mean,
don't look up flying Nimbus on Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, don't look up anything in Urban Dictionary shit.
Dieter had something in the Urban Dictionary. Yeah, I think they call it the Spokane
All right.
shoehorn.
True.
I dare look that one up. I dare you. Look it up.
Okay.
He's gonna look it up. All your listeners should stop what they're doing right now and look that up.
Ian can't spell Spokane.
Use a VPN. Use a VPN.
Use
No,
a
I don't
VPN.
They first, the raw name actually it resonates. I kind of like that based on what they're going for with that particular model.
Yeah.
At least that marketing makes a little sense. It doesn't just feel like it's from left field. I mean, it feels like there's a like
I don't
like you
like
said
it.
earlier, they're really really good at marketing, right?
Yeah.
I don't like it. I like
No.
the heli. I actually love the heli. I have one. It's the first goblin I've actually liked, but I don't care for the
We
name.
used to call the goblins turkey legs back in the. Did you guys remember
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
Turkey,
Oh
Sure.
yeah, I remember that.
turkey legs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody hated those when they first came out. Oh my God, that's such an ugly machine. Now everybody has one.
Mhm.
When I got into the hobby, Goblin was already around, and I thought they were awesome looking helis. I
I
liked
think,
that.
yeah, I think they look good.
Well, I think the proof is in the flying too, because man, I remember
Mm.
flying that for the first time, a 380 that we started out with, the
Yeah.
one Steve had, and you just the sound. It sounded like
That
such a
megaphone
precision
boom, that
instrument.
screaming
It
tail.
flew, yeah, it flew like a, just flew like a precise instrument. Flew very, very good. And Ian's
Right.
smiling because he
You
must have
found it.
figured out how to
Did you find it?
spell.
Oh yeah, I found it.
Yeah, he was working. I can't remember in some engineering office. He's an electrical engineer, and he and like 4 other guys came up with that, and they submitted it to the Urban Dictionary, and they added it.
Nice.
Oh my god. I always wonder where the hell some of these people come up with this shit because
That's
oh my
in the
god.
minds of people like Dieter. That's where that. By the way, do you guys
Yeah.
know what he's doing now?
No.
He's
No.
got a big presence on YouTube. Strangely
Yeah.
enough,
Not his
And
heli
he's-
channel though, because
no,
I have-
no, he's not doing helis. Well, at least no. In fact, he gave me a Goblin 500. He's just giving his shit away. No, he's. You guys have heard of Roblox, maybe? That.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. He's doing really well. It was really fun to watch him. He does that live stream, and of course, I
kids
tuned
did, I
in
think.
one day just to see what it was all about. And he really takes on the appropriate persona because obviously he's dealing with young kids and completely clean and unlike Dieter, but he kind of takes on this persona that just fits the role really well. And he's, I think his plan is to take that full time. And it's been a
Oh,
while since I
nice.
talked to him, but at the
If he had
time,
enough subscribers, he can probably go full
I
time and
think
make
at the
a living.
time he was pulling in about 2,500 a month doing it.
Nice.
And that was a long time ago. And
Sure,
I see
well,
he gets quite a few views per
do
show.
you know his channel name? Let's give him a
So
shout
what-
out and get some people to.
Dieter Plays, I think it's called.
Peter. Yeah. So what you're
Okay.
saying is he's really good at thinking like an 8-year-old.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say that's his crowd, right?
Nice.
Boobies,
Plays.
he's really
Okay.
into that.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's a
No,
big
he's-
deal nowadays.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. As far as the other guys from RCHN, just a little bit of a recap.
Yeah.
Actually talked to both Nick and Justin here in the last couple of weeks. Nick is he's into ham radio now. He's doing a lot of ham radio, and he was really big into mountaineering and rock climbing, mountain climbing, but he still does it, but I guess he's not as into it as he was, but he is involved, I believe, with like search and rescue and that kind of stuff. And Justin, of course, he's into it. He's been doing a lot of mountain climbing, that kind of thing, and hanging out in the Pacific Northwest. I haven't talked to Jesse in a long time. I think he's got 3 kids now, from what I understand.
wow.
Oh wow.
Someone needs to tell him how that happens, because
Yeah, I was
apparently,
gonna say he didn't know what causes that.
apparently not. Apparently not. But yeah, he's doing good. Of course, I talk to James all the time. He and I have stayed in pretty close touch through the years. But
Yeah, James is a good dude. He's come out to Jersey and
Yeah.
met up with us. He was out there on more business, but then stopped by the flying field and we got to hang out, I think, for one of our events, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
So,
event I was at, 2019
Yeah.
in Jersey. He
Yeah.
come and
He came the year before too at Polder.
Yeah.
yeah, my wife and I went down to visit him. I guess it was kind of a delayed honeymoon trip. We took. I always wanted to ride Amtrak. I don't know why. I like trains. I always have. So we rode Amtrak from Seattle to Los Angeles. Went down there and hung out in LA and out to Catalina Island for about 4 or 5, 6 days, I think it was. And then, of course, spent a little bit of time with James and his wife and kids. But yeah, he's a good guy. He and I talk quite a bit.
How was the train ride? Because me and mine have actually been looking at doing that at some point. Either doing that or doing the Chicago to San Francisco, or the one goes through the mountains. There's a couple different routes there.
Yeah.
It sounds like it'd be fun. I don't know.
It is.
Yeah,
I do have some suggestions.
Mhm.
If you're going to take a trip that's longer than 12 hours, I would wait for a deal and get a private cabin. There's
Right,
two types of cabins. One's much larger than the other. I've not been in either of them. All I know is 35 hours on a train.
That's a lot.
On Thanksgiving week was a little much. Kids
Yeah.
screaming, kicking the back of the seat. The trip down to Los Angeles was very nice because there weren't very many people, but the trip coming back from Los Angeles to Seattle was just jam packed, and it was not pleasant. Had we had our own sleeper, where you
that's what we were looking at.
Yeah, it's the only way to go. Plus, you
Kind
can
of have your own room.
lay down in them more comfortably. But overall, it was a great experience, especially if you like trains, and I'm kind of a closet train nerd, model trains and stuff like that. It's something I've always wanted to do. Out here in Pennsylvania, there's a lot of train history, so I've been doing a lot of that. But yeah, definitely give it a shot. Get yourself one of the
we've been talking about it.
Yeah. It was a good trip.
Nice.
The food is not too good. I don't know about the cafe. Like since COVID was a thing, regular coach folks could not eat the same. Couldn't go to the cafe car where people that had rooms could go. So I don't know if that food is any better. I think it is. So we were dealing with microwave sandwiches, shit like that. Which, you do have the occasion when they stop, which they do stop quite often, to get out and go in. And sometimes there's little fast food restaurants right there in the train station.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
It's still fun. It was really you get to see that trip that I've made thousands of times through my life. Thousands might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but many, many, many times. Get to see it from a different perspective, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I thought would be neat. Just sit there and look out the window at all the landscape.
Yeah, we're going to take the one at some point, we're going to take the one from Philadelphia to Florida and back. Probably in fall, we're thinking. Just literally there and back. Maybe stay one night somewhere in Florida and get on the train and come back.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool.
Dan, if you oh, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, do you still ride a motorcycle, or?
I don't right now. I don't have one. So I had a really nice it was a Kawasaki Voyager, and I put 87,000 miles on it in a year and a half.
Wow.
Damn.
And it got to the point where it was starting to nickel and dime me.
Yeah.
And when they start to nickel and dime you, they quickly fall out of grace as far as I'm concerned, because you're constantly in the shop, you're constantly dicking with this, that, and the other. So I sold it with the intention of immediately trying to find the exact same motorcycle, except several years newer, if not new. Life kind of changed. I started dating Elaine, and that ability to just jump on a bike and take a 700 or 1,000 mile trip was there, but I had other things that I'd rather be doing. And now that we're married, I think at some point we're both talking about it. She wants to learn how to ride. We're gonna potentially buy a couple and do some. I can't really ride the bikes like I enjoyed it when I was doing it. Where if it wasn't at least 500 miles, I really wasn't interested in doing it. I like to go out for the long rides, but with her, I suspect that won't be the case. Traveling,
you'll have to work up to that.
Yeah, traveling. Say every time we go somewhere, it's can you pull over at the next rest area? And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Just got in the zone.
I don't like to stop. I like to get to where I'm going, right? But anyway, yeah. So at some point, it's just not a priority like it was for that 2.5 or 3 years I was doing it. But I sure enjoyed it. And I had a lot of folks that everybody kept asking me to take photos and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, that's not my thing. I'm not a picture taker. And I would say things like, well, if you want to experience it, go get a bike and come with me,
Right.
because, riding the bike, and most of you out there that have ridden or do ride, get it. It's a whole new experience traveling. You are interacting with your environment from every sense: sound, sight, smell, like riding I don't know. If you've never ridden through the desert in Arizona after a rainstorm, you're missing out on a lot, because the desert has such a sweet smell after the rain. And those of you that are living down there understand exactly what I'm talking about. Desert opens up after a rain, and that aroma is just amazing. And then, of course, you get the foul smell too, right? Dead animals, and that's just all part of the experience. And I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, one of my most memorable rides was I probably shouldn't have been out riding because it was way too cold out, but I rode up through northern New Jersey, just these towns during Christmas time, a lot of lights, and a lot of wood burning stoves, and you get to smell the different, different things burning, the different, oak versus whatever they're burning, and it was really cool, very memorable ride I had.
Yeah, that's the beauty of motorcycles. Everyone, you hear the kind of it's I don't know, it's cliche, I guess. A lot of people will say it's freedom, man. Well, it really kind of is, and it's really hard to explain that until you've done it. I mean, you're still traveling, right? You're still going from A to B, but you're typically looking for routes that are less traveled. Like, I loved not getting on the interstate.
Yeah.
Local routes, yeah.
One thing I used to love to do when I'd wake up, at the time I was working an awesome shift. I was working 7 on 12s and then 7 days off, which
nice.
was fantastic, because that first morning after I recovered from working night shift, I would get up and I would look at something 500 or 600 miles away, and I would just take one glance at the map and try to imprint the roads, and then I would put the map away and not look at it again and see if I could make it.
Wow.
And I ended up
Nice.
in some really weird places doing that, but that was kind of the whole point. Sometimes there were a few times I never actually made it to my intended destination, but I ended up seeing some pretty cool shit along the way.
Nice.
There was a lot of times I get on the motorcycle and just, be out with the guys, and you'd think to yourself, why doesn't everybody do this? This is so enjoyable.
Well, one of my biggest things that I had to get over relatively quick is I always had this fear of hitting a deer, and especially where I lived at the time, and even out here, there's quite a bit of deer running around. But at some point, I guess I just got to the point where, well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? And I just stopped thinking about it. And a lot of the guys that I did belong to it wasn't a club. It was like a family. There's a big difference between a motorcycle club and a organization, like a riding club, right? Yeah. So this was just a group of old guys that rode like Honda Goldwings, and that was one of their. They really struggled with that. One of the guys actually that I rode with quite a bit did actually get hit by a deer, knocked him off his bike at 70 miles an hour. But
damn.
Yeah, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Your time's up when your time's up, regardless.
Yeah, my uncle actually hit one several years ago while riding a CBR 93 CBR 600.
Ooh.
He turned the bend, and there it was. He had no time to swerve or anything, but he hit it, and the head swinging around and smacking it on the other side is what kept him upright. Otherwise, he was getting ready to go down.
Oh, wow.
He rode it all the way home. The fairing was gone, but that was the most of it.
I actually hit a deer. Horrible story. I was in the middle of nowhere in Idaho, and on a 45 mile an hour stretch. And I rode a big V-twin, and I wasn't about speed. It was about chugging in the highest gear at the lowest RPM you could, right? Just to get that chug, chug, chug out of it, right? And I'm cruising along, probably at 45 around, and I see a little fawn coming running up on the side of the road, and I thought to myself, "Don't you do it, you little bastard!" So I started slowing down as quickly as I could. Sure enough, that thing just right in front of me, and I let up off the brakes and I gave it some throttle to try to lighten the front end up a little bit because I was going to run right over him, and I didn't want it to trip me up. And I ended up cutting that little bastard in half. I heard him scream as soon as I hit him, like, "Oh man, you little shit!" But
Oh,
no, I didn't get hurt. I guess that's all that matters. But
Wow.
that little
Yeah.
guy didn't make it. And then I hit a gopher.
There's a
Oh
gopher.
my gosh.
It smashed up, and it caught up on something in the front wheel, and it smashed it up into my fairing and hit the crash bar, and it exploded, and I had blood and guts all over on my right leg. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
I had
glad
a-
you killed that deer. I hate deer.
They're tasty.
Yeah.
I had a friend hit a duck once ttoo, flying away.
Yeah,
Put a
I've
hole
had
in
that.
it.
Not a duck. I had a bird. Because
Yeah.
there's a little bubble, especially when you got a full head dresser, right? There's this little bubble where the wind kind of buffers over your head, and it's kind of this weird wind comes from up underneath and kind of blows up to your face. And this bird got caught in that updraft, and it was like right under my chin, flipping around trying to get out of there.
Jeez.
Gosh.
It was a little distracting.
Holy-
Yeah, and I'm just trying to bat it away, trying to maintain my, not get into any unstable situation.
Right, don't get the wobble or something, right?
Yeah.
yeah. My uncle, one of his riding buddies, actually hit a bird on the interstate, and they had to, he just went ahead and went to the ER right after that because like he was wearing just a shirt and a vest, and the beak broke off in the vest, and it actually broke the skin enough where he had to get a couple stitches.
Jeez.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, Dan, now that you're in Pennsylvania, I was going to mention this earlier when you were talking about trains and such. I know I used to pass Northlands, which is in New Jersey. It's used to be like the Guinness Book record holder for the world largest model railroad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
ever want to check that out, that's kind of in Western Jersey. You're
Well,
probably like a couple hours away
there
from
are.
that.
There's a ton of those in this area. There was I can't remember the name of it. There's one that we went to last year. Wasn't quite the biggest, but there's a lot of those around. There's one thing that really surprised me. I actually looked into it. I never did anything, but I looked into joining a club where they do train operations on large layouts like that, and it wasn't really my thing. Mainly because I'm with my back. I still can't just stand in one spot for long periods of time. And of course, when they build these big layouts in these rooms, they don't really, not really designed for, you're standing there doing this.
Right.
But as far as like real railroad, there's a lot of that. Like Horseshoe Curve, went up to Horseshoe Curve a couple weekends ago. That was just awesome to go up there and see that. A lot of rail history in Lehigh Valley on the other side by Lancaster.
Yeah.
You can actually ride old steam trains out there. There's one up by Altoona where Horseshoe Curve is, where you can actually ride a steam into a mine, into a coal mine.
Oh, really?
Oh wow.
That
Wow.
It's no longer obviously operational, but you can ride. It said they were open, but unfortunately we got there, they weren't. I don't know what's happening there, but we're going to try to head back there at some point. But a lot of train history out here in Pennsylvania. That's one thing. Not to bore all your listeners about Pennsylvania, but Montana, there's a lot of history. The problem with exploring the history in Montana is you're going to drive 500-600 miles, right? Here, you've got so much history within just a couple hours of whichever direction you want to go, whether it's Washington, D.C., New York City, all the train museums. And in fact, we're going to the
Massachusetts,
Gettysburg
Boston,
reenactment, Civil War reenactment.
Oh, wow.
Got tickets for that this summer in July.
Nice.
Just a ton of
neck the
history.
woods.
Yeah.
Meet up and fly. Come to my field.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I guess there's a fun fly coming up here in June just north of me here in Pennsylvania. I'm going to head to that one too. I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
Is
But
that Tuscatora?
yes, that's the
Tuscarora?
one.
Yeah, that's
Oh
our
yeah,
friend
that's Kyle Schneider's
Kyle Snyder's.
and
Yeah.
Larry, right?
Yep. In fact,
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna be
met
heading
up
up there.
Larry. Yeah.
And of course,
They
I'm
have-
coming out to your guys' fun fly.
Hmm?
Yep. I'll be there
Nice.
for that. I should have something flying by then. We'll see.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I'll let you fly one of my helis.
I'm sure there's a ton of people that would let you fly their shit.
Oh, that's pretty risky. It's been a while.
All good.
No.
James Cadiz lets me fly his shit whenever I go down there, and he says I do a pretty good job. I got a full-scale helicopter flying right outside my window right now.
Oh, I hear it.
Nice.
So
Almost gone. Almost gone.
no, I
There it
like it.
goes.
Sounds like
Hey,
a
I mean,
decorative tail.
as long as it's an aviation, I mean, it fits. It's fine.
Yep.
So speaking of getting something flying, Dan, what are you gonna get? Some old stuff? You're gonna build a new kit? You looking for something?
So yeah,
What's
I'm
your
gonna.
plan of attack here?
I'm gonna get the compass up in the air gently. I still want to fly it. I probably won't try anything out of my comfort zone with it because I won't be able to replace the parts. I'm going to get the Forza going again. I'm going to kind of investigate that. And if anybody out there, my email is dankereed@msn.com. If anybody's got any information on where to get Forza 700 parts, please let me know. That'd be great. I'm going to be building. Unfortunately, it seems like everything I'm going to be building there are no parts for. Of course, James Cadiz is going to send me a Synergy N7 that he's had for a couple of years that he never got around to building. I
Wow.
think inevitably, I want to make sure that it makes sense for me to get back into the hobby, which I'm kind of a 100% or nothing kind of guy when it comes to hobbies. So usually if I decide that I'm going to get back into a hobby, it's balls to the wall, right? I don't really screw around with
Mm-hmm.
him and hawing around the edges. So yeah, what that means is probably in the next, I'll probably start looking at some of the newer machines that I have easier parts replacement, most likely an SAB. I'm going to look at these Trons. Don't know anything about them. And of course, you just mentioned these XL Powers. I'm going to take a look at some of these. I do want to get some nitros. I won't be flying nitros nearly as much as I used to just because of the price of fuel. But
I
it's
got
not
hooked up for fuel, so.
yeah, I was looking at one of my helis. Which one was it? Oh, I think it was the Forza. It has a Skookum fly mirrorless. You guys remember Skookum?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's how long that was. That's how long ago that was. I got a bunch of Icon 2s. I don't know why, but I've got like 6 or 7 of them brand new in a box. I think they were sent to me by Alex. I don't remember how I got them.
I still fly those.
Yeah,
That'll
you
Yeah.
need those.
They were good. I didn't have any
Fine.
issues with those. I did really like, back to that V-bar thing. I really did like
Yeah.
that V-bar controller, that V-control. I like the battery logging that it had. I like the bailout, the fail-safe system, the rescue
yeah.
system was pretty nice. Of course, Icon's got that as well. I don't know. I didn't really use the rescue with the Icons that I did have, but I did use it. I did use it with the V control quite a bit. That was the time where Nick was really trying to get me into getting better at Puro flips,
Mhm.
and required a lot of rescue at the time.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Those are some of the episodes I remember.
yeah.
Because I
Some
think I
good
was
times.
trying them at the same time, and you were describing in detail how to get into it, out of it. Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
would go back and forth a lot about it.
Yeah, Nick was a really, really good teacher. Of course, that was evident in all of everything that he did in the hobby, whether it was that initial, before he was even part of RCHN, that initial BeastX tuning guide that he put on HeliFreak that had like 100,000 views or some shit like that. Always was willing to share his knowledge and very knowledgeable, right, at the same time. Justin was the same way, and so was Jesse. It was just a very unique group of individuals that together formed a pretty neat little group. Hard to replace those guys, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
But one thing I would like to talk about is we mentioned it briefly. Is the Facebook? One thing I have really enjoyed with Facebook was kind of getting in touch with a lot of folks that I hadn't talked to in years and just striking up conversations. It kind of, I don't know, it's kind of got me thinking about maybe starting up like an RCHN Discord or something, and not for anything in particular, but just a place for me, kind of a selfish place for me, I guess, to reconnect and start having some conversations with some friends that I haven't talked to in a number of years.
Yeah, definitely.
But we'll see. Little things like that. We'll see. But
No, come to our Discord. We do a Discord every Friday.
Yeah, see,
welcome
something
to
like
join
that
us.
would be fun. I haven't really. I use Discord a little bit for some of the video games that I play, but don't use it a lot. Don't know too much about it. But it's been nice being back on Facebook.
Mhm.
I've noticed there seems to be a lot of what look to me like bogus. I guess what I'm getting at is you really have to pay attention to who you're accepting friend requests from, right? I had a ton of people from Nigeria. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, I don't know
Very
anybody
true.
in Nigeria. I mean, I don't
Uh-huh.
know. No
All
thanks.
claiming to be a prince.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, if you don't have a helicopter somewhere in your profile, then I'm
Yeah.
not gonna accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't really want to be, I kind of feel bad when I don't, because I don't know, some of these folks, have really invested over the years, previous years, a lot of time in RCHN, and I certainly don't want to discount anybody that sends me what could potentially be a bogus friend request, but I guess people understand, right?
Yeah.
I do like it's been fun. And I mentioned before we started recording, I just recently, I guess a week or two ago, I listened to that episode you guys did about it was like your 261. It was kind of a
261. Yeah.
that was a tribute. Man, that was pretty special. Thank you guys for that. That was it was fun to listen to. It was brought back a lot of memories, and it, Justin actually told me about it. He must have just listened to it, or for whatever reason it came up in a conversation he and I were having, and that's why I was aware of it. And he and I were talking, and we think about all that time we put into RCHN, and when we hear things like that, it's just a really good feeling to know that all that time really did make an impact in the hobby. It's to some level, and we're so appreciative of that. And it just started out as a RCHN. I've told the story many times, but for me it was truly selfish. Like, I lived in Montana, and there was nobody for hundreds and hundreds of miles, right? And I was like, I need to be able to talk about RC helicopters, because I'm not improving. I don't really understand the setup. Of course, I was going through Finless Bob's videos like wildfires, consuming those. I would watch every build video of every brand, trying to learn how to do this. But ultimately, what it boils down to is being able to have that open communication with somebody. And that's what the podcast did for me initially, right? It just really allowed me to have those conversations and learn a lot about the hobby. It was great fun. It was a fun ride for sure.
I mean, think about it. Like, at the very least, you impacted enough that many folks started their own heli podcast, right? We're not. Free Fall's not the only one, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's
all
the other heli podcasts that you're the grandfather of heli podcasts.
Well, to some extent, I guess that's true. But there's always a trailblazer, and for me, it was Chris and All Things That Fly, right? And before that, even it was Dicey with the RC Freak podcast, and obviously I was involved in a few episodes with that, and those are the guys that really kind of inspired me to create RCHN, and it certainly wasn't out of I didn't come at it from a perspective of I could do it better. Now, just between me and you, yeah, I thought I could do it better. But that wasn't my motivation, right? That wasn't my motivation.
Right.
There was always room, and there still is room for many podcasts out there, even in a hobby that's declining. There's still plenty of hardcore folks out there that just want to consume product, right? And it doesn't matter if you're doing this because you're concerned about your downloads. Yeah, that's fun to look at, especially if your show's doing well. It's fun to see those metrics. But if that's the sole reason you're doing it, then chances are you're not going to stick around, right? Because it's not about I don't even know what the word is these days. Clout.
Yeah, right.
I guess maybe, but
it's the same reason why you don't, start a hobby business.
Exactly.
An RC hobby business, because
you're not going to get rich. Right?
You're not going to get rich, and it's going to suck the life out of you.
Right. And that's, it was definitely a labor of love, and it was a lot of fun. I'd listen back, and occasionally I'll throw on an episode just for shits and giggles, and just I never listen to a full episode, but because it's frankly I can't be bothered to sit there for 2.5 hours and listen to a whole episode of RCHN, but it's fun to listen to. And I actually posted something up on the RCHN Facebook page the other day. You guys may have not seen it, but
yeah,
apparently I was working on, I don't remember this, I was working on a best of episode. I think it was intended to be released a year or so after we stopped, and I never did get around to doing it. But what I did have, and Ken Salois was helping me with it, we were putting together clips of various shows throughout the years, and I happened across a long forgotten Dropbox that Ken and I shared, and I saw those clips and I thought I should put some of those up. I mean, I'm sure someone would enjoy listening to some of those, so I'm going to be putting those up. I don't know, I probably got 10 or 15 hours of that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah.
Short 10-minute clips, and just put them up so people can enjoy them. So look for those coming, I don't know, every couple of weeks. There's no set schedule. I just whenever I kind of feel like doing it. But some other things, I'm not trying to rant, kind of take over your guys' show here, but there are a couple of things I want to talk about. We talked about the friends connecting. That's super important to me, and please look me up on Facebook if you'd like, and I'd love to have some conversations with some old listeners. It's great fun. But one thing that I'm a little unsure about, maybe you guys can kind of help me with, is I actually don't know. I'm assuming the players, AccuRC, Phoenix, and Real Flight are still in the game. I did order Real Flight. I think it's 9.5 the other day.
Yeah.
9.5. Yeah.
I don't know, but then after I ordered it, I kind of went. Maybe I kind of did in the reverse order. I went to HeliFreak just to look at the comments, and I'm not hearing a lot of good things about Real Flight there. I never really had an issue with Real Flight. I did love Phoenix. Didn't really ever give AccuRC a fair shake. But I also loved, I think it was Next, NEXT.
Right.
I did like that one, but I see they're still doing their thing, and they still got that free trial, so I'll probably try that too.
Yeah.
Which sim are you guys using? If at all?
AccuRC and Next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on AccuRC.
Anybody doing Real Flight?
No.
I was for a while. I just could never get.
Is the last one.
It always got
7.5,
twitchy for me.
That.
I could never get it dialed into how I wanted it, and it seemed like AccuRC right out of the box was pretty close, and I could make some changes.
Yeah,
I will say. I was gonna say I will say that auto rotations are better on Real Flight 7.5 than what it is on Next. And Next, it's like it comes down like a brick, I feel, but I haven't spent much time on AccuRC.
My main goal out of a simulator, and I've never been much of a simulator kind of guy, is just to kind of revisit that muscle memory.
Yeah.
Even though I was building drones, I was not piloting drones. I didn't have a 107. I wasn't interested in going out and flying cell towers or any type of infrastructure. I just didn't want to do any of that, so I never did any of that with Skyfish. We hired all of our pilots, but so I haven't really flown. I did do some test flying on the drone when needed, but it's a drone. It's different.
Right.
Yeah, it's not
Trying to
fun.
get the cat.
What we've been doing like every Friday is to, get together in Discord and then start an AccuRC
Sim
room where we can have 12 people at a time. Yeah, 12 helicopters at the same time flying. Sometimes we've had 2 rooms going or 2 sessions
we used to do that. Well, somebody used to do that. I don't know, but it was called the RCHN room, but I joined it occasionally. That was always kind of fun.
You know what I found is that it helped me in a great deal because I've said it on the show many times is that you're talking, you're having fun, you're listening to stories, and you're going through the muscle memory, and then before you know it, the 2 hours is over, and you're like, holy shit, I've been simming for 2 hours.
Right.
It just helps you out in that respect.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to re-engaging myself in the hobby, whether it's hanging out doing simulator with a bunch of folks. I'm certainly not opposed to trying out other simulators, and I think at some point in time I probably have owned every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I don't know why I decided on Real Flight, other than it just felt like something, I don't know, it just felt like a recognizable name to me, right? It's like, oh yeah, I remember Real Flight. Probably spent hundreds of hours.
I think it's okay. The newest one, 9.5. They had a couple that was kind of terrible.
The 10 or the X one, right?
X, I think. Yeah. And then they kind of backed off that and went back to 9 and then
to 8 or something. 8.5,
yeah.
I think.
It's pretty good. If most people that are doing the online stuff are either using AccuRC or Next, that's kind of the 2 main ones for multiplayer stuff. But any of them are okay. I mean, as far as just good muscle memory type stuff.
Yeah, I used to use Next a lot. I remember because I think that one was one of the few simulators you could fly on Mac when I was using the Mac at the time.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we have people that join the Discord server and talk, but they're flying Next also, and they're in a different room. As I haven't experienced that.
A lot of
I
times,
use AccuRC, but
a lot of times we'll have an AccuRC room and a Next room in the same Discord.
And I would think you could get the same benefit even if you were just in any sim by yourself, but you were in Discord.
Yeah, it's just hanging out.
Really? Yeah.
Shooting the shit.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yep.
It is.
Absolutely.
It's fun to do it in person too. So you got to make out to some fun flies in this area, man. There's a lot of good East Coast fun flies, I think.
That's the one thing
I'm thrilled.
I'm excited to see the difference. I was always under the impression, based on stories told, that we did it a little bit different on the West Coast than is done over here on the East Coast.
I believe that.
I think the big thing about what we used to do on the West Coast was, and I don't know how similar or dissimilar it is. I'm interested to find out. But it was we would show up, on a Thursday and pack out on a Sunday, and it was just up till 2:00 in the morning around a campfire, night flying, all that stuff. I'm assuming it's very similar, but I do remember whenever we did have some folks from the East Coast come out to our fun flies, they would go to the hotel at about 7:00 at night, and we always thought that was a little strange. I don't know if that's still a thing.
That's probably because they're jet lagged.
They flew out. Yeah, and there's no place for them to stay.
They don't really have the ability to stay, but and camp out at the fun fly. But I always felt that the community in the Pacific Northwest was a pretty special, tight knit group, and I'm sure you guys feel the same. With the Northeast community.
I think there's there's a Northeast, and then there's like a Central and Southeast group.
Right.
And there's some really good hardcore clubs and fun flies and events here and people. So I think you're gonna find that you're with like-minded folks out here.
I went to look at my local AMA club. I
What
didn't.
clubs do you have around you?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. It's just outside of town here in Carlisle. It's more of a planker club, but they got a really nice field.
As they usually do.
I don't. I've not been out there when there were a ton of people out there, but I don't think there's any heli pliers at that particular field. But I don't know how the rules. I guess I haven't really been paying too close attention to the rules, but there's a lot of farmland around here. I'm not worried about finding a place to fly. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle. We talked briefly before we started recording about the rules, the FAA rules, and all that shit.
Yeah, especially if you join a club, they're gonna require you to do the stupid test and have your FAA registration to join.
They require that?
Well, some clubs do, yeah.
Wait, what do you mean a
heard of
test?
that.
Like a proficiency test?
Yes.
Well,
Really?
the test that I just took,
I've never heard of that.
it's the trust test now. This new thing
Trust
coming
test,
out, and it's a joke. It's seriously a joke, and they say it's drones. It's all highlighted drones. But on the website, there's 3 little icons for drones, planes, and airplanes, and you know that they consider everything drones when they But and it's just the basics that everybody. It's really the basics that everybody that's in the AMA should already know. So you could take this test and pass it without going through it, but it's an online test. I didn't put my email in and put my phone number in. I didn't do anything. I just went to this silly thing and I got a certificate when I was done. I just had to put my name in at the end. And I could have put anybody's name in at the end. I could retest it retake it on another computer.
Just send me that certificate when you get done with it.
I've never taken a test to join a club.
Well,
my
club is going to start requiring.
Must be different in
this.
Tennessee.
And here's the kicker that I saw. Other than 400 feet and manned aircraft out the right away. Duh, they said every drone FPV pilot must have a line of sight spotter. So if they ever start busting my balls at the club I'm at, I'm gonna. I might say when they ask me for my card, I'm gonna be like, well, you know what? One of the test questions was, hey, should that guy have a spotter? And the answer is yes. Where's his spotter? All these guys flying FPV, all these drone pilots.
Yeah, go hit them first.
Where's their spotter? They all should have a spotter. And you know what, dude? I freaking was on a soapbox at the office. Nobody knew what the hell I was talking about, but I felt good when I was done. I said, and this is all because that son bitch Trappy had to prove a freaking point.
Yeah. I got a lot of ration of shit for saying that back in the day, but I saw that coming. Man, if you could go back, and I have no idea what episode, but I remember just ranting about how multi-rotors were going to affect our hobby, right? And I couldn't have been more right. And usually I'm not. Usually I'm not right.
You were absolutely right. And I remember those episodes. That's why I said something earlier, because I knew you were like, F the FAA. I'm not going through this stupid thing. I'm not doing it.
I had some listeners that really got on my case because of what I'm about to say, and F the AMA too. I mean, seriously, what did those old codgers do for us? Nothing. They signed a memorandum of understanding with the FAA, and the FAA totally walked on them, right? They walked over them like they were taking candy from a baby. I just think they felt powerless.
They agreed to have their own throat cut in a way.
Sure, they did. The way they are handling the expansion of potential new flying sites, eventually they're not going to allow it, and all those sites are going to die out, right? And there's going to be no place to fly after that point, right? And then of course you got this remote ID bullshit. My God, don't even get me started on that. That's impacting the manufacturing, especially in the world I come from. That was a huge deal. It's something that as a manufacturer you got to be very concerned about. Luckily, it's been in a series of lawsuits that's kind of extended the deadlines by 2 years now. But last I heard, it was like September of 23, where manufacturers have to either have a module ready to go for existing customers and a tamper-proof remote ID system in their current production models. And in typical government fashion, they lay the rule out, just like Florida recently did to all their multi-rotor operators. They just thought they saw a problem, and they threw an axe down on it with no real solution, and they left all these folks with no answers. And what I'm getting at there is, yeah, they want you to have this broadcasting capability, but there's no infrastructure for it, right? There are some manufacturers or some third-party manufacturers that are starting to contemplate what this is going to look like. And at Skyfish, we're actually in the they are actually in the process of developing their own internally, right? That broadcasts the appropriate information. But we don't know to what that looks like. We don't know what that infrastructure looks like. Nobody does. You can't. We were working with the FAA on another project. And I remember one time I was in a conversation with some folks in the FAA while I was at Skyfish, and we're talking about setting up some. They wanted Skyfish to model some infrastructure around the country, quite a bit of it. So we were looking at a big contract with the FAA. After several weeks of talking to them, finally I was on a meeting with them, and I said, "Hey, I've got a question for you guys. It's got nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I want to know if you guys can help me understand exactly what the remote ID infrastructure is going to look like." And they kind of went, we don't know. We don't really know. But you know what we'll do? We'll find somebody who does know, and we'll let them get in touch with you. Well, that phone call never happened. So these guys are making these rules.
And it's almost like they're waiting for the end result to happen before it can happen.
Well, I think that's how they're going to set precedent, right? So they're just going to let this kind of open-ended ruling happen, and then they're going to wait for someone to mess up. And then from there, they're going to say, well, they shouldn't have done that, but this is what they should have done. Now we know how to fix this problem, right? Or we think we do. It's, I mentioned the Florida guys and in the multi-rotor world, especially first responders, police, accident reconstruction, missing people. They had been employing DJI, as a lot of them did, right? DJI didn't do what we did. We were a large engineering grade 3D remodeling or reconstruction models of cell towers and various infrastructure. It was a different machine. It was big, and it carried big cameras and high resolution and really good quality. But they need fast deployable little machines, and so the state government just put a kibosh to it and said, "Oh, you got to buy. You can no longer do these." And all these organizations, Polk County, those big, they're like, "What do we do? What do we do?"
Thing now.
Yeah, and that's a joke too. The Blue UAS 2.0. Look, I dealt with that, and oh man. So I'm telling you right now, the 8 or so folks that are on that list, if you take a look at their product line, part of the big thing with the Blue UAS is it has to be USA made.
Yep.
Most of their components are not made. It is a good old boys club. There is no legal authority in the Blue UAS list, but the problem is these government agencies, the DoD in particular, because they're real fickle about it. Well, if it's not on the Blue UAS list, then we just can't even talk to you. Well, okay, but I can show you components on these manufacturers that are not made in the USA. Oh, it's on the Blue UAS list. That's all I know. The work's been done for me. That's what they're thinking, right? The work's been done for me. Somebody else has made the decision. I'm just going with it. Okay, well, good luck with that. So they're looking at doing a revamp to the Blue UAS right now. Right now they're on version 2, but they're looking to go to another version. And some of those folks that are on that list are going to be falling off of that list, just because a lot of them were using the HereLink controller, which is it's very similar to what most people in the UAS market are using. But they had this UAS this HereLink Blue, which was purportedly made in the United States, and so as a drone manufacturer, we were looking to do some business with those guys. So I called them up and have some meetings with them, only to find out from the CEO of that particular company that, oh, we just found out the other day that these aren't actually all made in the U.S. But yet 6 or so of the manufacturers on that blue list were using that controller.
Jeez.
You know, and it's a joke. It really is a joke,
is.
and it's a mess. And if you know, I was on some webinars with some of the folks that are doing the blue UAS, and they can't answer questions. They refuse to answer tough questions, and it's just a mess. And anytime the government gets involved, it becomes a mess.
Well, that's what I mean. It's almost like they're waiting for the solution to happen by someone else,
Right.
so they can implement it. You know, I've seen that happen in my world where, you know, they were talking about this specific device that was going to do this translation, and every question you asked, they just kicked the can down the road even further. And then 3 years later, they still had no. And then one team that worked for the county figured out how to do it, and they were like, "Oh, can you guys be a part of?" You know, they were looking for that solution, and that team said, "No, we're not giving it to you. We've been waiting
Right.
for an answer for you for 3 years, and now you want our solution? No, not happening." To me, it seems like that's what they're waiting for.
Yeah, I don't miss that world. I'm telling you right now, I don't miss it. It was, man, it's a tough market, and you know, shit's getting so expensive, and shit's getting hard to come by, and deadlines are, you know, especially working with government contracts. You know, September 30th rolls around, you got a deadline, you better damn well meet that deadline. You know, and if you don't, then you got a problem, right? They you know, the government has the ability to do strange things like fine contractors that don't meet deadlines. You know, it's a tough world, that's for sure. That's for damn sure. But
let's pivot kind of back to helicopters.
yeah, it sounds like a good idea. I don't
shit.
Good.
I know you said that you can't find your radio anymore. So what are you gonna do? Are you
Well,
gonna
I got
buy
this
a new
JR.
one?
I got this
okay.
JR. I'm probably gonna stick with that for the
Mhm.
time being. I keep looking. As you guys said, it's like unobtainium with the V control. I'd like to get back into a V control, but
Do you still have any Neos, or
I do have a couple Neos. Yeah.
I can loan you my V Control Classic?
Yeah.
I have an extra one I'm not using. I use it to sim, but whatever.
Yeah. I used to. You know, I might take you up on that. I'd like to get one. I'd like to get one of the new touches, though.
Yeah, but at least until those become available, at least get you flying, because you know
Well,
how
I get this,
easy the Neo setups are there.
You know, I got well. I've got these icons, and I've got this JR radio. I've got everything I need to get going. Like I said, I bought a charger recently, and it's got those ISDT chargers. We actually used some of the smaller ones for charging radio batteries with Skyfish, but yeah, what I need to do is dust everything off and get the 6 years of, or however long it's been, of crust and nastiness off my nitro parts, and get those motors rebuilt and get back into that. But it's going to happen. I'm going to get an electric going first. I need to get some batteries. I've got some batteries that are probably no good anymore. I don't know. They might have enough life in them just to kind of get back
hover and get them up, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But probably not left in those. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I suspect, I don't know, I'm hoping we'll get the paint done downstairs so I can really move in down there this week, and should have something flying in a week or two. But we'll go from there. I know that there's you guys may recognize the name RC Bound or Colton. He worked for Skyfish. He's pretty active in the community for some time. He was trying to get me back into flying a couple of years ago, and so I had him. I kind of made him a deal, and I kind of backed out on it. I said, all right, you take one of my helis home and get ready to fly, and then I'll go flying with you. And I never went flying with him.
Hey, does he still have your heli then?
No, I have it here.
Okay.
I have it here. But what I don't have is the radio that he'd set up with it. I don't know where the hell that is. You know, because I had 3 14SGs, and you might remember the one that I talked about several times, the one that's got when my hand was messed up and I couldn't use.
Right.
So it has the kind of the Curtis Youngblood stick on it there. I have that one, and I had 2 other regular ones, and none of which I can find. So somewhere. It might be in mini storage somewhere. We got to go through all that shit, but
Yeah.
that's where most of my heli
Turn
stuff
up one of these
is.
days, but
Yeah.
But you
Mostly.
got enough, like you said, to get a heli in the air. So
Sure. Yep.
awesome.
Yep. I'll be able to get that done, and probably gonna get, I probably gonna get a plane too, just for shits and giggles. I did enjoy flying some like extra 300. I enjoyed that. I don't know,
I
not
like crashing them.
Yeah, they're fun to crash, man. It's pretty impressive when you.
I just love the planker's eyes when they see it crash.
I like the planker's eyes.
That's the
when you-
impressive part.
Yes,
I like the
that's fun
planker's eyes when you start flying a helicopter right off the flight line. They pucker up.
Yeah.
My plankers have seen me enough fly helicopters at my club that like it doesn't impress
Used
them
to it.
anymore.
Yeah, they're used
But
to.
when I like come down like inches off the floor with a knife edge, coming down and it tumbles, and that was just like a bunch of parts. And I'm
Yeah.
laughing and having a great time. They're like, oh, I can't believe it. Trashed your
Yeah.
plane. Is it okay? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Step on it. Oops. They're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
See, I love seeing their faces when I show up to the planker field. And they're like, "Oh yeah, my name's so and so. I do this for the club," and I'm pulling out helis, and you just see his whole demeanor change.
Yeah, they don't like that, do they? I remember
Dude.
back in the day when I first started flying at the field there in Victor back home. They're a good group of guys, I guess. But I remember one of the first few times I was flying there, I had like 3 or 4 guys standing next to me, and I started flying, and I wasn't really paying attention to them, and I flew, landed 6 or so minutes later. Every one of them was about 25 steps back at that point.
Yeah, it's like that particular day. It's like after I got done, each time I got done flying, I just do a quick look over my shoulder, and you see the 2 old plankers like lean up. They were talking shit about me in flight. So it's like, yeah, I just went with it. I thought it was comical. So
They hate it when you don't fly the pattern. They hate that. That drives them crazy. They can't wrap their head around that.
I'm lucky. I found a club in Virginia that it's all plankers, but they like open arm welcome me, and like, yeah, they every time I fly, they're like, oh, great flight and all that stuff. Like, I don't know how you do any of that stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how to do it either.
Well, that's a good sign, because what a lot of these clubs don't understand when they're a dying breed. The clubs are dying, right?
Yes.
So they need fresh blood. They need these younger guys that played video games for the first 10 years of their lives and became world champions at 12 years old.
Yeah, the median age at the club is like 60, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
It's fun down here, Dan, because in Florida, these guys are retired. They got money, and they come out one weekend, they smash the plane, they're back out with another brand new one next weekend, and it's flying away. It's never a dull moment down here. It's hysterical. And then I came out, and it's just a typical planker club, and it's fun. I mean, there's some guys that should learn to keep their mouth shut. Yeah. But I came out, brought helicopters. I was doing pretty good with that, and I said, man, and then they had a swap meet, and I bought actually a newer extra 300 from one of the guys for $100, and he wanted the receiver, so I was like, I don't care, I'm just gonna throw a regular receiver in there anyway. And man, I came out with that thing. They were like, oh, you're gonna fly that without safe and all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, what the hell? I'm gonna see what the plane can do, man. And I threw down with that plane, and they were like, all right, we're leaving.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's
the olive branch. I did the same thing at my club.
Yeah.
They were excited that I bought a plane, and I did buy a trainer, but I very quickly grew bored of that trainer, literally within a day or two of flying it. Yeah. So I bought an extra 300, and they were, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, dude, it's a plane. It wants to fly. Like a helicopter doesn't want to fly. It wants to crash.
Right.
So, planes want to fly. They're pretty damn easy to fly. Obviously, you can make them complicated. You get into the competition stuff, but just general sport flying, that's what they want to do. And, they just do it very effortlessly. Helicopters don't do that effortlessly, right?
Yeah,
They're constantly looking for the closest path, least path of resistance, right? They're looking to find their way to the ground.
Yeah.
But
it's like you can look away from your airplane flying,
Yeah.
A helicopter, you look away. Oh shoot, it's a new
So,
guy.
you know, it's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking back just the other day to when I was taking lessons from Todd Bennett when he was, I don't know if he still does that thing where he goes and
I don't think he does
teaches
sports
groups
anymore.
of 4 or 5 folks, but that's one of the things that he makes you do. Like he'll put you up in the air at one side of the field at several hundred feet, and he'll tell you to put it in forward flight, and then he'll say, look away. And he said, don't look back until I tell you to look back. And it's really nerve wracking, but he makes you do that.
God.
And then once you come back, he said, helicopter's still doing the same thing, isn't it? Not a big deal. Just let it go. Yeah, thanks for giving me the pucker factor there. Todd, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt.
One thing about Todd, if you guys if he still does it and you ever get a chance to take his class, I highly suggest it. He really is good at tackling the mind aspect of flying helicopters, because really that's the biggest barrier to advancing your flying. It's that mental state, and he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve to help you understand that mental aspect of flying can be conquered, and learning how to step out of your comfort zone, but in a very controlled fashion, learning your bailouts, understanding where, if it gets into a position, what do you need to do to bail out of this position? And 9 times out of 10, it's just let go of the sticks, right? Let everything come back to neutral, right? Let everything settle down. I
still remember that from when
you
we
might
had
be
him on the show.
inverted. You might be heading towards the ground, but if you go back to neutral, things are going to settle down. It's going to give you some time to think.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff that he's really good at helping you get over. That in itself is worth the time that you get to spend with him. Plus, he lets you, you tell him what it is you want to learn, and he takes you up to 300 feet and says, "Here's how you do it. Make it happen." And it's quite fun. He's a very good instructor. If you ever get a chance to take lessons, if he's still doing it, I have no idea.
I don't think he is actually.
Yeah.
Last I heard, not.
Yeah, 'cause he's an old man. He was old. He was an old man back when I was not so old. Now I'm an old man, and he's an even older man.
When you're done with his course, though, do you need an emotional support dog or something like that?
If you're
He
a
might have
snowflake
PTSD.
issue,
If you're a snowflake.
if you
Yeah.
can't. Oh, did I lose you guys?
No,
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 Just
Yeah.
froze up.
Still here.
I'm back. I think I'm back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't lost you.
So yeah, do you need an emotional support group after that? If you are snowflakeish, yeah, because he doesn't pull punches. I really appreciated his style, to be honest with you. Some folks probably couldn't handle it. I remember Ed Solizano, used to talk about him all the time on the show. He was a little less able to handle it, although he got along with Todd really well, and they became really good friends. But he wasn't able to mentally
Handle the training.
Yeah, he's a little rough. Todd's a little rough around the edges with you, but I thought it was fun. I thought, he's funny. I thought, and I don't want to say, maybe it wasn't for everybody, but I think everybody should try it. He just breaks it down to get yourself out of your way to help you understand that the machine's going to fly, right? Let everything relax and just let it happen.
Yeah, good advice. Like I said, we had him on the show, and I still can think of him saying, neutral collective. You get in trouble, neutral collective out, and just you'll have time.
Yep,
And
everything
it's one of the things I
slows
picked up from
down.
him. Yep.
Yeah, everything slows down. Yeah, that's great. Great advice. I'm gonna see if I can follow that advice here in a week or two.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. Do we have more questions for Dan, or shall we move it onto our next section here?
It's gonna be a long show. You guys typically record this long?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Let's move it on to Ian's tech tip.
Oh boy. This
Wait,
week.
let me mute my mic so I don't interrupt.
Well, you just did.
Wow.
Damn it, Andy. All right.
right,
Figure
let's
I'd
see
do
what
a
we
little
got.
something on center of gravity, or CG for short. A definition of CG would I got it from Google. It's a point in which weight of a body or system may consider to act in uniform gravity. It is the same as the center of mass.
So
Well,
do you understand what that means?
I have an idea.
Okay, so bring it down to my level. What does that mean? I don't understand really what that means. What do we mean considered to act? What does that mean?
Wow, put you on the spot.
Damn,
Damn.
no. This
What a
happens every
dick.
week.
That's a
too.
dick move, dude.
Um, I'm open, Steve. What do you got?
Ian, two kids of the same weight on a teeter-totter are going to
Yes.
have uniform gravity to the
Yes.
same center of mass, which would be the middle of the teeter-totter.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
I'm dying to hear this question.
Yeah.
Ian, why do you pick a tech tip that you know absolutely nothing about?
It's a great question. Very good question.
I do know something about. I just
It
didn't know
doesn't
how to
sound
put
like
the
it.
definition into words.
Okay.
But the tech
Okay.
tip, as far as
center
balancing
gravity
a
helicopters. What do
Yeah.
we do?
Well, the idea is to get, the center of gravity to, balance to a certain point, which typically on our machines, it's at the main shaft. Why do we balance our machines? Sometimes they can be tail heavy. I've seen models be nose heavy, extremely nose heavy. Why is it? Why do we balance them? Well, to get them to handle more properly in the air. To perform better. I've had models before that they just, it's like my Blade 500X. Let's face it, that thing was nose heavy as can be. So essentially, what we're doing is we're trying to, just do little subtle things to correct the CG on it. One thing I did find, it can vary as far as, to balance your machines is it can be as easy as moving your battery forward or backward to find that perfect balance between, whether it's, tail heavy or nose heavy. I've even had to move electronic components to get, the CG somewhat close to being spot on. I've had two models I can literally balance on the button on the main rotor head, without anything to prop it or hold it up. I've even had to change out, battery sizes can even make a difference as far as the weight of the battery.
So we're talking about CG forward and aft, right? Like front and back of the helicopter.
That's correct.
Okay. What about nitros? Because I mean, electrics are pretty easy. You got a huge battery, you can move slide forward and back to kind of help with the CG. But nitros, you're kind of settled on like,
Yeah,
where
you're
your battery
kind of
placement
limited.
is and stuff. So what do you do for?
Well,
For
for
nitros.
nitros, well, for example, like I've got really the only thing you can do is maybe smaller battery or even a bigger battery. If you really have to, if you don't have anything that you can like say if it's a little too tail heavy, which is kind of you can always with any machine, if you don't have any options to move something to correct that CG, you can always add a little bit of epoxy with like some like BBs or something for like your BB gun, and that's if you've got the room in the canopy. I've heard of that done, and I do believe I heard that on RCHN on one of those episodes. I've even it's like on my NX4. The CG, it's gonna be close. I've actually balanced that one on the actual, if I was to flip it upside down, I can actually balance it on the button. I can't remember if it's got fuel. It just depends if it's got fuel or not, how it's CG'd, but I've actually moved the switch glow into a different position to actually get it pretty close.
So
With
I know you kind of mentioned why. What does a tail-heavy helicopter perform? Like, what does it do with having bad CG? Like, how do you know you have bad CG? You don't like go and try to
typically
balance
if
on the
there's
on the
like
front.
well, for example, one of the biggest things, it's like I've had a model that was extremely nose heavy. I think it was because, well, for example, the Blade 500X, it came stock with a 2900 milliamp 6S battery, and I had wanted a little more flight time, so I stepped it up to like a 33. Well, even the 29 was nose heavy. I mean, I've stuck a 29 in there, and it's still, you can hold the machine up by the rotor head to where it's, kind of on its side like you're doing a TikTok, aileron TikTok, and you can just see that nose just immediately dip. So typically, when I would do like loops or any, with my skill set, I was doing say if I was to do a loop, it wouldn't even do it just a smooth, transition into the loop where it's going into inverted at the top. It would just do like a flip and just come right down. It didn't handle very good at all. And I would say, as far as doing like pirouettes, you would see a lot of drifting as far as the CG being off.
That's when I see it.
Yeah, pirouetting would be where you'd see instantly start seeing like some kind of little bit of a wobble.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I see as soon as I turn 180, the model's going backwards if the CG's tail heavy.
Yeah, and that's some of the really the best reasons to CG your model. I mean, to get it as close as possible to being damn near perfect. Not to mention, it takes a lot of load off of the work that your fly barless is already doing.
Yeah.
What are some stuff that you guys have done? I mean, I've gone as far as switching out batteries and stuff and battery placement.
I'll let you know when I do it.
I
No,
don't often CG my helis.
my
I
one
don't.
model's set up good. The Oxy 5 is really good. The 690, I was flying larger batteries, and I've been dwindling my battery stock down, so I'm on to smaller batteries right now. So that's why it's going back slightly, but I'm still flying it.
Yeah. More recently, I've been trying to keep my CG on point. Oh, look like Dan left. Primarily just because I've noticed, like now I'm starting to notice when the CG is off on a machine. Previously I wasn't able to tell if like flying if the CG was off or it was just me being off, right?
Right.
Right.
But as I'm like getting better and like linking my maneuvers together, I'm starting to notice where like, well, I didn't give it an input. Why is that happening? And I've been finding a lot of times like as I'm pirouetting, because the CG so off that it like wobbles the heli or like like you're saying, it leans back the heli if it's tail heavy, which causes the maneuver for me to have to make a correction, which then obviously it looks stupid, right? It looks messy in the air. So that's where I've been starting to notice CG differences. I've been trying to CG my helis a little bit more accurately these days, especially the electrics, because they're so easy to do, right? You just slide your battery back and forth into find the spot, and then you basically tape it down there. So
Right. And then I mean, like I said, there are some models it's just a little bit more difficult, especially like your classic goblins, the OGs. Some of those were, they are a little on the tail heavy side, but there still are ways to kind of get
Oxy
that
5
really
Nitro,
close. Yeah.
it's a big tail heavy heli, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, either way, they still perform pretty decently, but that is one of the big things with those. So yeah, if anybody else has anything else they do differently, just shoot me a message. Let me know.
I had a gasser that I had to put over a half pound of lead weights in the nose.
Damn.
Oh shit.
It was a Bergen Intrepid extended boom. It was designed to carry a payload, a camera up front, and I actually had to use those 1 ounce lead tire weights.
Oh my God.
Somewhere I have a picture of it. You can just see them stacked. It was over a half a pound. I remember that. It's pretty. That craft though. That thing was. Geez, I want to say 25 pounds all up when it was ready to go. It's
Wow.
massive.
That is awesome.
It was a huge helicopter. Huge.
What size
800
blades did you run?
850s.
Wow.
At 6 or 7, 800 RPM. Somewhere in
Oh
there.
shit. Jeez.
Yeah.
Sweet. Bet it sounded cool.
It
Yeah,
did. It
seriously.
sounded really cool. Yeah. Once you got it, well, a Zenoa. Well, I can't. It was a Zenoa, but I can't remember that. At the time, you had the two competing aftermarket guys, and I cannot remember their names. Someone out there.
Anson
knows.
and TRM.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And the stock mufflers were just annoying. So it's
So loud.
hard to hear the blade over that, but when you could get into a position where all you could hear was the blades, it sounded like a real helicopter flying above you. It's kind of cool.
Mhm.
Heavy as hell though. Didn't.
Nice.
Yeah.
I forgot who I was talking to. I think it was Darren Weens from Canada. We were talking about Velos, I believe, and
Oh.
like they're on like their V3, but I think they're more
done.
focused on drones and stuff. Yeah.
They're done.
Are they?
I saw one. I saw an
That's-
Velos 880 at Spring Fling.
Is that the one with the two motors?
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
700 power setup. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we got in a lot of trouble for talking smack about that machine back in the day.
Oh yeah. Talk about all
Yeah.
you want. This shit's gone anyway. It's not a company that doesn't really build an RCL.
Yeah, because I don't think they're in the RC market. I think they're more focused.
or some shit or drones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, but they still use the same platform from what we saw on the website. But yeah, the thing is freaking huge.
Yeah.
We actually had one here locally, and it didn't. I mean, it was big. Don't get me wrong, but that's too much.
The one that Spring Fling never took off. All I know is it spooled up. It was like, it sounded like 400% head speed with like 100% gain, because it was like whoop 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 on the
Oh,
ground,
jeez.
whoop 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 whoop, going back and forth making that noise. I'm like, holy shit, shut that shit down. Wow, I'm going back with the tail wagging and making that crazy noise because the head speed was just wow screaming and the tail was screaming back and forth. Oh, I thought
Well,
that
that's
thing was
what
gonna explode.
That's when Dan mentioned that large helicopter that he was talking about doing 800 head speed. I was curious about the tail because I mean I can do 900 with the 690
Yeah, but
and
got no
still
tail,
fly
right?
around, but it's squishy. It's like really squishy. And
Yeah, but we were using. I mean, I can't remember how big the tail blades on that were, but there was a lot of tail blade there. I can't even remember.
Was- Yeah, and
it's manufactured for that.
yeah, the tail was probably geared for.
Yeah, I
that
can't remember the ratio, but it was. Well, that boot. I was. Aren't is Bergen even a thing anymore? I know they started making multi rotors.
Not in the helis.
Yeah. That brings back some memories. God, that was an expensive machine. Holy shit! The airframe alone was like $2,500.
That and what's the other ones I used to talk about?
Oh, the
Kasamas?
Kasama.
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing was a work of art, man. It was like it was beautiful. It was like kind of like the Avant. Did that ever come around, the Avant? I think I've seen one or two of those, but
Oh, it came and gone.
yeah, that
No.
doesn't surprise me. But
Oz is still around though.
You'll still see those.
I think there's still a Kasama group on Facebook. Like there's a dedicated group
Sure.
of folks that are handling. It's a UK thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see them over there, definitely.
But that thing was beautiful. It was like put it together, never fly it, and put it on the copy table. You know, it was just like a work of art. It was way over engineered, but it was amazing. Super expensive.
Yeah.
Well, not by
Mhm.
today's standards, though. Come to think of it, I think that airframe was $1,600, and now airframes are creeping up into the $1,300 range.
Yeah, but
1,000?
they're back down now.
Are they?
Like about 800
Oh, that's
or
not.
700.
$700s or $800, $900.
Well, 1,000. Some of them are 1,000
Um,
with blades.
And if you get super fancy, I mean, you're talking like what, 16, 1,700 for like your Maverick, your Urukai
yeah,
Kraken.
but those are like 800,
Fuselage,
760 purpose
Yeah.
built kind of F3C type machines. We're talking about, if you're talking about 3D helis, you know, that your 1500s are gonna be like your Diablos, you know,
Yeah.
like those models are probably the only ones that are around that price range these days. I think more of them are trying to hit that 1,000-ish mark or under to make it more affordable and kind of keep drawing people into it. So
Right.
okay, let's keep
So-
this.
Well, Ian, are you going to tell folks how to check the CG of their model, or they just
Oh
good to
yeah.
know?
Well, he kind of went into it, right? Kind of holding
Yeah,
it up.
mentioned it briefly.
Yeah.
Did he? Oh, I wasn't listening.
One of the ways you could test it is just pick it up by the rotor head, hold it like you're doing a aileron TikTok, and see if that nose dips or if the tail dips. You can
just
even
hold
pick-
it one way like
Yeah.
that.
Do you have the tail this way or the tail this way? Because it does matter.
You guys might have to enlighten me on that one because I've even picked it up level with the blades, going.
Like with the,
But you have a
crosswise.
one-way bearing
You have a
in there, so
one-way
it's only
bearing.
going to go one way.
right.
So you
one
got to
way.
check tail right and tail left.
Yep.
'Cause the
You
one
Sure
way is
you
gonna
know
fight
about
against the
this
motor.
topic?
I know quite a bit. I mean, I've done my own CGing.
Could have fooled me.
Dang.
Savage today.
Yeah. All right. You good, Lee? You good, Ian?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good,
Okay.
Andy?
No.
I don't think
that's
so.
okay. Let's keep moving on. All right, let's move to news and announcements.
All right, let's do some news.
And
Announcements.
Okay, what do we have?
Well, you know, my favorite airplane manufacturer, Flex
Hmm.
Innovations,
Yeah.
has come out with a new model. It's a QQ Yak 5510E Super Plug and Play.
Ooh.
And I'm probably going to get one of these when they come out. It's pre-order now. But it's cool. It's the 10E, so it's like that 57, 58 inch wingspan. It's a Yak.
I like
It's
the
the
Yak.
typical Flex Innovations EPO hollow foam with the plywood frame and the fuselage. Looks pretty cool. Uses a 12 by 5E lightweight wood propeller, which I like. And the thing that's kind of selling me on this, other than that I've always wanted a Yak, and I've had edges, extras, Sukhois, beavers, cubs, all that stuff, but I've never had a Yak. But the coolest thing that I find is they are now doing a 6S setup on here. And it uses a
Yeah.
13 to 1800 milliamp hour battery, which I already have a bunch of those for 380s.
Cool.
Yeah. So instead of having to fool around with the 3 or 4S batteries, I can just use my helicopter batteries.
It seems like that's the same size battery in the Mamba that I just flew last
Is
weekend.
it 6S?
That's 6S too, yeah.
Okay.
The new
okay.
version.
Probably is. It's probably the same setup.
Yeah.
it's 10.
Nice. Yeah, it's what did it say? Like a 600 kV motor.
100 kV. Yep.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do the night setup one?
Yes. Yep. I think I'm gonna get the pink night one. Night version with the lights
The
inside.
pink one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Only you can fly a pink plane, Andy. You can get away with it.
extremely
Ken.
visible.
I don't know, man. With the pink raw and just people flying pink helis now. I don't know. Whatever.
I have a
What's wrong
prediction.
with pink?
I have a prediction, Andy, that this plane that you will get ETA June will be in the air before someone else I know who has an original QQ
Oh, no doubt.
flying.
You can get this in the air in, I'd say, 30 minutes.
Yep.
Maybe an hour if you take your time and eat a snack in between.
Well, it's 2 hours if me and Mike D do it.
Yeah, but that's you and Mike D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of us should have been like unconscious.
It would have took you an hour if you did it by yourself.
Exactly what we were saying. Because I was reading the instructions and he wasn't. He was just putting it together. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now that's wrong.
You
We
had
already
to
put
take it
epoxy
back
on
apart
that.
and put it back
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, exactly. He was putting it together. I was taking it back apart.
Two monkeys trying to do something over there.
Yeah.
price is $329.99 to $359.99, depending on whether you get the night version or whatever. I think the night is $359. They have a red and pink, day or night. So yeah,
Kind of resembles a Sukhoi in a way too.
Yes.
That
round fuselage.
that style. Yeah, the round fuse.
Yeah, looks just like a yak.
Looks like a yak in a way.
Yeah. It's 46.2 inch in length, 47-inch wingspan, 1,196 millimeters. Weighs 53.5 ounces, or 1,515 grams, with a 1,500 6S battery. And they're saying around 5 minutes flight time.
Cool.
So go check it out, flexinnovations.com.
Cool.
Nice.
Shannon is carrying, at Only Fine Helis, is carrying a set of 3D printed canopy mounts for the XL Power Spectre V2. And these were designed and I guess made by Kenny Hutton. And he's using some type of flexible kind of filament so that they're not brittle and they break.
That's
I don't
cool.
know anything about it, but it's cool to see stuff like this. It says the material is flexible, not brittle like other mounts, and allows the canopy to center well on the mount. And they also hold up very well in a crash.
Yeah. I know Kenny's been kind of producing these for people here and there. So this is awesome that Shannon's
now you
kind
can
of
just
bringing these into
go to
the
an
shop.
online retailer and purchase them, which is cool.
Yeah, same thing with Dan Renee Raw Nitro HD kit. It's awesome that Shannon's supporting that.
Yeah, it's $30 for the set. It's like the mount and then the part that goes in your canopy and some washers.
And I like the canopy mounts to use. It's like
yeah, I may have to get a set of these. Yeah, a few people have tried the different types of 3D printed mounts, and I know one guy was using a resin printer, and they just kept breaking, like they were terrible.
Yeah, resin's brittle.
Yeah, you can't use
brittle.
that.
This looks like TPU or some kind of nylon, something that's flexible like that.
And if he designed it correctly, which he did, it looks like it's beefy enough in the correct places to kind of hold up.
Yeah.
So good on him.
Awesome. All right, what else do we got?
Can plug Dieter Plays YouTube channel.
Yep, it'll be in the news announcements if you want to click on that and support Dieter.
Yeah.
Give it a subscribe. Fun stuff.
I'm gonna tell him Dan sent me.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Everybody likes Roblox. I don't even really know what it is. It's a video game of some kind.
Only thing I know about it is my kids play it console, and they're always asking for these Robux
credits. Yep.
Which goes against everything I believe in.
Yes.
I cannot fucking stand
put
paying
game?
for like or they spend real money on like skins and these weird little add-ons and stuff. I hate that.
Yep, I hate it.
My kids ask me for that. I tell them to get lost.
Spending real money on ones and zeros, dude.
Yeah, they're not getting. You're not getting anything for it. It's
tangible.
Just nothing.
Yep.
I hate that.
Well, I mean, some can say that about a lot of things we do. But anyways, all right. Let's. You have anything else?
I think that's it this week.
Okay, let's move it on to what's next for you in the hobby. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first.
For you, Kevin.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get out to the field this weekend. It looks like Saturday's going to be better than Sunday.
Nice.
And I got a few things to do around the house. That's it, man. Helis are still flying. They're in good shape. Still got to look for some batteries. But I don't care.
NX LiPo.
Gotta maybe order a set. What are you going to be doing, Ian?
Me.
Is not an answer. How many times have I told you
Gonna
that?
be working as always. This weekend I'll be on Discord, and I also need to get some wrenching done. I want to meet up with Keith and a couple of the other local guys this week and try to get some flights in. I went ahead and I'm not doing any doubles this weekend. It's good, it's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
I'm not
See
even gonna know what to
daylight.
do with myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I'm taking Saturday morning off. Gonna go to the field, fly, and then Keith, he's usually off on Sundays, so it's like I'll work, Sunday morning, and then I'll just meet up with him in the evening and knock out some flights. One of the local guys, he just built a brand new 700. He says he's been out of the hobby for a minute. He kind of wants us to like look it over and make sure everything's all good. So we're gonna meet up with him so he can do the maiden, get him flying again. And I'm sure it's all gonna come right back up to him and everything. But yeah, I think it's been like a good month and some change since I've really done any flying. So yeah, hopefully I don't fly a little too rough. So that's about all I've got going.
Are you gonna beat the crap out of your helis on that first flight?
Yeah, man.
I usually do.
Beat the shit out of that thing.
Yeah.
Sure. I am not nice to the 700
You
when I
remember who's boss, huh?
Yeah, I try to make it say my name. As long as it just doesn't end in pieces, and I'm okay.
If your heli says your name, you've probably got a bad bearing or your belt's bad or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who's next? I guess I could go.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So this weekend I'm actually not gonna be flying.
Oh man.
Yeah. Saturday I have a Comic-Con to go to. My daughter wants to go to Comic-Con, and there's one in Virginia Beach, so we're gonna go to that
Nice.
one on Saturday.
Cool.
And then Sunday morning, I take a Amtrak train up to Brooklyn, so up to New York City. I'm gonna be there for a week for work, so I'm gonna be back in Brooklyn from Sunday to Friday, and I take a train back Friday morning. So yeah, definitely next weekend I'm gonna be flying, but this also means I'm not gonna be on next week's episode.
Well, spit on the street for me, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Get on it,
Say Kevin hates.
Well, these to some folks, let people off. Gotta get my,
So you're not
New
going to be on the
Jersey, New York
show?
attitude back,
You're not going to be on the show next week, you said?
No, I'm not gonna lug my stuff, and I won't have time.
Alright.
Tuesday I'm gonna be busy, so I gotta. My job has like basically gatherings and things to do all
Cool.
week.
I might go see Doctor Strange, so we'll talk about that.
Oh, I saw that last week.
I saw it too.
Spoilers.
That's our episode next week.
All right, cool.
And I saw
Okay.
the Batman, Kevin, so we can talk about that.
Yeah, I
The
seen that one.
Batman.
Okay, I didn't see that one, but that's strange, dude. Oof. Yeah.
Batman was pretty good.
I can't wait to listen to that episode. Awesome. All right, Andy.
I might work on this heli a little bit more, but probably not. I got a busy couple days doing some corn planting. So I don't know. We'll see. Probably nothing for me as usual.
Yeah, I just put in 3 more screws in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I might
okay.
solder the bullets on the ESC. Call it a day.
Get some dental floss on on a wire here and there.
Yeah.
You know how you connect those ESC wires, right? You put them all in order the way you think it should be, and then you flip 2 of them.
Yep.
That
Right.
always works.
Right.
I think I said that
I'm-
last week too.
Well, I'm putting the YGE on this, so that could seriously be a problem. I'm gonna have to check the rotation. I'm used to
Gonna
the
have
hobby
to.
wing where I just hit a
Flip a
button and
switch.
it changes. Why don't YGE have that? Come on, get it together. They
One
should
thing
add
at a
that.
time.
They should
By the
add
time
that.
you're ready to fly that, they'll have that update out for you.
They should. Well, maybe they will if I bitch about it enough. I complained and complained about their auto rotation bailout, and then
No one even heard you complain.
by the
because
time I
they're not
got
even the
back, they
reason why
updated
did
it and added it. So
Right.
maybe
Yeah, but
somebody
they
heard
added
me.
it because of F3C.
No, it's because I bitched about it
Sure.
for 2 days.
Keep thinking that.
That's what I think.
See,
Uh-huh.
Kevin agrees with me.
Yeah.
I agree
Kevin
with it.
knows.
Oh man.
Well, what's Dan going to be up to?
Yeah.
I don't know. Porn and Cheetos.
Nice.
Corn and Cheetos. Hopefully in that order.
He's got to
The other-
stare at those
the
helis
other way
for
around
a few
would be
more days.
nasty.
Blow the dust off those LEs.
I hope to get that my little dungeon set up this week and start getting some helis going. I got a lot of family out here that new to me, family, in-laws, I guess, that are anxious to see these helis fly. So
Nice.
Cool.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. I think that's all of us. Do we have any listener pipeline?
Yes, we have a couple just came in tonight,
boy.
Oh
listen.
no.
a few minutes ago.
Hey, Free Fall guys, what's going on? Steve in sunny South Florida calling. How y'all doing? Golly, guys, so much to say, but such a little bit of time to do it in. First of all, saw Mike D a week ago. It just doesn't get any better than seeing the planker at my planker field. That was real good seeing you, Mike. Come on back again sometime soon when you can't stay quite so long. Kevin Tester, or sorry, Mr. Kevin. Yeah, you know. I got some show notes I gave this guy earlier today, and I hope that he uses them. A lot of information to pass along. Kevin, I got to say, man, congratulations on passing the trust, aeronautical education, and certification required by the FAA. I'm sure Kevin talked about that, and perhaps your guest host smacked it around a little bit. So some good information there. Mike D and Kevin came over to the house. They had dinner one night. I required them to check their cell phones in as they walked in the door because got a lot of top secret stuff here. Don't need them to be taking pictures all around the
Which I
the
took
assembly
anyway.
area. It's almost like at NASA, at the Kennedy Space Center. There's so many things coming together all at one time. And I might say that this weekend there'll be a few new flying machines,
Oh my
which
God.
I can't talk much
Cut
about that
him
right
off.
now. It's on kind of a need-to-know basis. Y'all don't need to know. Andy, I hope you're back. It's just not quite the same without you. These guys trying to kind of pull things together, and I think most of these guys could not scratch their ass with a handful of fish hooks if you gave them the opportunity. But Andy, man, you're the anchor man. Hopefully you're the back. You're kind of like the hub of the wheel, tying it all together. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, you heard it. Andy, fuck off.
You've got it all wrong. Kevin's the
No,
wheel hub.
Yeah,
Andy
I'll
is
prove-
the hub.
No,
I'll prove him wrong. I can scratch my ass with fish hooks. I'll be right back.
Oh boy.
God. Shut that camera off.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, here's another one.
Hey guys, Steve calling from sunny South Florida. How in the world are y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing great. Hey, I just came back from the flying field.
I just had to. I meant to pause it. These voicemails came in 2 minutes apart. I just thought I should share that.
I didn't think his
Hey,
Hey
jitterbug
guys,
phone could
Steve
handle that.
calling from sunny South Florida. How in the world are y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing great.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
I
so he
just
couldn't
came
have
back
got
from
back
the
from the flying
It's
field.
Tuesday, late afternoon or early evening. It was a little bit gusty, between 15 to 20 miles an hour. The breeze was really kicking it. But what a great time to be in South Florida. I don't know exactly what's going on, guys, but I just wanted to find out what is new with y'all. And I was very happy to be able to see Mr. Steve Yoon. At one time, Miata Steve, but I'm not going to go there and get into that. I saw him at the Spring Fling. Man, that guy was throwing it down. Also had a chance to see the one and only, the legend, Mr. Bill Ann. He kind of made the whole event. Everybody was trying to get a piece of him. Come over here, Bill. Okay, roll the video, man. I got to have you take a picture or two. So he was really working his way around. Also saw BK Hobby's team. Had a chance to talk to quite a few of them. I'll specifically say Gucci. That guy, you never know where he's going to appear, what time he's going to get there, but he was there. I got to say a special thanks to Mark Federoff, if he's listening. Mark showed me something kind of top secret that he designed for the back of his SUV to be able to stack things in, package them up, and I'm going to steal a few of his tips and tricks in the very near future as I prepare for some other events this year. Awesome flights at the Spring Fling. Man, it was really, what a great time that was. And Mr. Ninja himself, Joe, what a great job you did putting it all together. So that's my second time at the Spring Fling. Was there last year. Looking forward to doing it again soon. Guys, what are y'all thinking about doing next as far as going to events coming up? Andy, you're going to make it to the ditch in Birmingham. It's, mid-June? I sure hope I might see you there
Dragonfly,
because I think
wow.
I'm going to be there. And I think the weekend after that, there's perhaps an F3C competition somewhere right outside of Nashville, Tennessee,
We're not all
maybe around
retired.
Murfreesboro. And last and certainly not least, don't forget the Free Fall RC podcast. I want to say summer event coming up in the very last weekend of July. Looking forward to seeing you guys again soon. I hope all is well. Did I mention I may have a few new flying things up in the air this
Good
weekend?
Lord.
Take care,
It
guys.
just goes on and on, huh?
Oh shit.
Thanks, Steve.
I don't think I'll be at Birmingham, but maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
I don't think I'm gonna make that one.
He wants to say
Dragonfly could be my next one.
he wants to say the free fall event is in summer. Yeah, July is probably the middle of summer, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in summer. Yeah.
It is in the heart of summer. It's gonna be
Can't
hot up
get
there.
much more summer than that.
Nope.
Yep.
All right. Is that it, Andy?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
Facebook
wrap it up.
likes. We are at 1,397 likes. That's plus one this week, or I don't know, since the last time we did this. Which was actually 1,397. So we lost one and gained one. So we have Nick Musco. Thanks, Nick. All right.
Nick.
Yeah.
Only one.
Sorry, I meant to say Nick. It came out at Nick's. All right, Facebook comments. What do we got?
We got some comments on Ian's post of us as the guys from The Hangover, which I got to say, Ian, this is quite the picture. You did a really good job on this one.
That is
Everybody
one
looks like-
ugly ass baby.
Everybody looks like they belong there. Even Andy.
Yep.
Shit. Darren Wines, whatever. He said, okay. Oh, that's an awesome pick. Sorry, Darren. Wines. Wines? I don't remember. Jimmy Tate. Acura RC, Beta, Alpha. Greg Ringel, LOL. Jimmy Tate, dude, what sim? Had to ask twice. I mean, help a brother out here. Ian said, any sim you want to run?
Is it Jimmy
Acura
Tate up there in
RC.
Pennsylvania somewhere?
Yep.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
he is. He's right around
Pittsburgh
Philly.
area. Philly area.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Jimmy Tate said, see you tonight. Okay.
I'm trying to
So-
find Dan some friends.
There were no comments on the last episode, The Break. Just a couple shares.
Because I wasn't here.
Right.
That's not the
No one complaining.
No one complaining.
All right. Is that it for Facebook comments?
Wait a minute. On the Discord server,
We got
Yeah,
listener things, don't we?
we
Oh,
dropped.
no, never mind.
Did we read this? Dan Belregon? Balleregion?
Oh, I know who this is.
What?
Thanks for the kids' words, Steve. I think you meant kind words.
Yeah.
Had a great time last weekend. Hope to see you at Spring Fling.
Yeah, he's one of the club members. He's a new club member that joined. Probably around the same time I joined this club, or maybe he was a member before me. But he flew helicopters, and yeah, he actually does flight tests. He's
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So him and his son both flew. His son won something at Spring Fling too, off the raffle table. I remember seeing his son's picture in one of the
Jeez.
auction photos. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
We should have him on the
Yeah.
show. Talk about flight test.
Did you guys
Shit.
do these
Yeah.
listener posts from last week? Facebook?
No. I don't
Oh,
think
we
we
had a
did.
listener post from last week. I
There's
didn't
one
think
big
we had.
long one here, but I don't know if we should read it. It's pretty mean.
Oh, the Cliff one.
I don't know what's wrong with Cliff.
Yeah, he was tripping.
I think we mentioned this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned this, and
Did you?
that's kind of the
Okay.
reason why Ian did such a great tech tip last time.
Oh, yeah,
About,
it was a good one.
A fuel, what is it? Fuel tubing?
Fuel tubing,
2 in a row.
Yeah.
aka up your nose with a rubber hose.
All right. What do we got next? So no
I don't know.
Facebook listener posts, website comments.
You got any website comments, Andy?
No.
Do we even have a website anymore?
I don't
Yes.
know, I haven't updated.
All right. So no website comments.
No.
Yeah. People Podbean.
People of Podbean, we had a shit ton of stuff going on Podbean.
Oh boy, you got some comments too.
Let's see. I'm going back. Helly Man, like 320 followed fun. Stephen O'Connor started following us. JD69 Ringer started following us. Mike Welch liked episode 324, The Break. Hope Mike's doing good. Talk to Mike. My Star 60 liked episode 316. I don't know. Tim Tideback also liked 324, The Break. So did Bare Metal Fabrication. So did Steve Wattenberg, who also liked episode 323, Hangover, and 322, All by Myself. And so did Alan Jenkins, liked all three of those, 322, 323, and 324. So thanks for the likes, guys.
Awesome. And we got some comments. So we'll go back 5 days ago. Raccoon2789 says, Kevin, I'm very sorry for your loss. And even though it's hard to admit, know that you and your family gave the best life your little dog Penny could have had. I had a 10-year-old German Shepherd who traumatically passed away with a twisted stomach, GVD.
Oh,
I heard those are terrible when
They
you
are.
look at that. Yeah. Who passed away on my arms despite my resuscitative efforts. Nevertheless, she would always be like my daughter. On another note, thank you for all the informative content of the podcast and keeping this great, stimulating, fun hobby alive. Rafa Quinones. Thanks.
yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Rafa,
I mean,
for sharing that, man.
dude, that happened like almost 3 weeks ago now, and my wife and I are still like holding back tears talking to each other on the phone. It's terrible, man. And she's like, I don't know if I even want to come down there, blah, 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 because she's not down at dogs. I'm like, listen, just like me, you got to freaking get over it. You know, you got to come to grips with it.
Yep.
Shit happens.
Okay. And then,
but thank you. Thanks for those words. Yep.
Okay, so next comment here, Richard 5 or Richard V, I want to say, said, fantastic episode with Todd. Funny, talking about Todd Bennett. Did he ever do another episode with you guys? So this is for episode 85, Back to School with Todd Bennett. I don't know. I don't think we did another
so.
one.
No.
Yeah.
We had talked to him.
Yeah,
but,
it was just hard to get our schedules together. And we just kind of never was able to sync up after that. But let's see. One day ago, Tim Titleback said, I'll try to take it easy on the first few flights after taking breaks. It's too easy to want to get back into the groove of hard flights, but it's a good idea to hit up the basics first and get warmed up. I end up planting it in if I get too carried away because I'm always stoked to fly, to be back flying in the air. Yeah. Sometimes if you do get overzealous, I've definitely thrown a helicopter in the ground once or twice that way. And then talk about bare metal fabrication. One day ago, left a great episode. Wish I had $1 for every time I heard the word like. Because it's really bad. Like you guys like to say like a lot. But I'm going to like this episode. Thanks, bare metal fabrication. Awesome.
Nice.
All right. And that's it for Podbean comments. Do we have any iTunes reviews?
I forgot to look.
Damn it,
Kevin.
Dude, I started iTunes like 20 minutes ago. It's just coming up now.
I thought you built a new computer.
You have a phone, right? You know you can just put it right up. No, I don't see anything.
Am I going to call iTunes?
No,
why would I need a phone?
Podcast app.
I don't have a podcast app.
All right.
You have an iPhone,
I have a flip phone. No, it's a Razor.
Shut up.
I just got it.
I thought it was a jitterbug.
No, that was Steve Shaw's phone.
Nokia.
He's got the jitterbug.
Nokia. All right. We've probably bored Dan enough. Dan, I want to give you...
Actually, speaking of iTunes, I don't know how this happened, but RCHN B2 is on iTunes. I don't know, someone...
Dude Man Larry.
Yeah.
Who did that?
Dude Man Larry.
Dude Man
Larry. Is that who did that?
What's his name? Yeah, he put them all on iTunes like a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it was when the website finally crashed.
There's a couple missing,
Yeah.
but they're mostly there.
Yeah, somebody snagged the RCH or the RCHellination.com and offered to sell it to me for $8,000.
What?
Jeez.
I'm like, yeah, I
You
don't
have
think I need
that.
it that bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, look that up on iTunes
Hmm.
and listen to old episodes. They're
I
still
had no
great.
idea it was on iTunes.
Yeah.
I know it used to be, but then
Yeah,
when
no,
the
people are
feed
listening to it now. They're
dumped,
giving a re-listen.
Hmm
I have a bunch of episodes I saved because at one point when I used to
Downloading them, yeah.
download them and then move them to like either not my phone, what
Yes.
iPod back in the day. I would copy them over. Yeah. What's that thing? The iPod? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
so I
want-
have a bunch of these. I have a bunch of that, the All Things That Fly episodes. Like I have a shit ton of like older episodes of different podcasts.
All right.
Do you
Dan, I
want
give
to?
you a huge shout out for coming on the show. Do you want to give any contact information? I guess I know you kind of gave your email before, but
Yeah, give it again.
mine.
Yes.
yeah, if folks
Oh.
want to contact you, kind of, hey, I'm in your area, let's
Yeah.
go fly, right? Like,
Or I have
Dan
synergy
K.
parts for
Reed
you.
at msn.com.
Dan K. Reed at msn.com.
all right. You remember the password for that?
No. Oh God.
Nice.
I had to. Yeah. Let's. Yeah. Passwords. Fuck.
That's too funny.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
still a thing, by the way.
Yeah.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, struggle's real.
Dan, I tell you, it folded over into our show because I used to do that to these guys. I would forget it, forget the
Oh my
Podbean one and change it.
Shit,
And,
how do we log in?
yeah.
Awesome. All right. So drop us an iTunes review. We'll read the review on the next episode. Email us at free4rc@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/free4rc podcast. Check out our webpage, free4rcpodcast.show. Say hi to Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Let's see. Flight Test Forums, off the field, audio, video production of the Flight Test podcast. Free 4RC podcast. Say hi to David Hill, a.k.a. Hill the Flyer.
Hey, Dave.
Hi, David
Hey,
Hill.
Dave.
All right. We got fellow podcasters. We got the Heliheads podcast.
Yeah, Manny, Mo, and Jack.
Maximum Collective podcast.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's Gregor,
Steve,
Gregor.
and Steve.
Yeah.
Telerotor podcast.
My gosh, how many are there?
Bunch.
Still going.
That's with Fred, Bobby, and Cindy. I don't know.
Well, no. Telerotor is with Cliff and Rich, and Telemotor is with
Oh,
Apollo
right.
and,
Nick,
and,
Monty.
Monty
and Shaggy.
Shaggy, yeah. And I hear Lamont's going to be making that episode too. Let's see. Skids Up.
Skids Up is with
Yeah,
Frank,
they just released
Javier, and
it.
Paul, and they just released. I can't tell you how this information dropped into my lap, but
Mhm.
they have just released their episode with the one and only Steve Shaw from sunny
No
South
way.
Florida,
No way, I got
Yes.
to listen to that.
where they're
Wow.
talking about the new Goblin 570 that's coming out or something
Yeah,
like that. on that show. It just took that long.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And Steve, that was 3 years ago. Steve still hasn't put it together. That's the joke.
Funny. Okay, Inverted Down Under. They're done now.
That's Ozzy, Mozzie, and Jeff.
Houdini RC Heli podcast.
My gosh.
It's with Kenny, Sierra, and
That's what I'm saying,
and
right?
Rich. RC Roundtable.
Yeah, and now we got a bunch of airplane ones. RC Roundtable,
Fitzterry Lee.
RC After Hours,
With Andre.
Mark Flyer Podcast,
2 mics and a J.
RC Plane Lab,
Ron Tom in the morning.
and All Things That Fly.
With Lucian Miller and Moose.
Yeah. All right. And don't forget to check out Bill Ann's YouTube channel.
Oh. How could
All
you
right.
forget? We remind you every week to not forget to check out
Yes.
Bill Ann.
Don't forget.
And now he's got now if it couldn't get any
Guitar?
worse, he's got the news channel.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he also has a guitar
Iaen.
channel too now.
He has a guitar channel
Yeah. Talking about
And a
guitar gear
cooking
and all that stuff.
and an
cooking.
RC tank
Oh,
channel. Man,
Where does this guy
he's
find
just
the time to
taking
do
over
all
the
this?
internet.
I know.
Yeah, I
Seriously.
know.
YouTube's gonna be him. He's gonna own YouTube.
I think Abe Lincoln said, "We'll destroy ourselves from the inside with this country," and he also said, "Bill Ann will destroy the internet by taking over YouTube with too many channels."
I think you
all right.
misquoted that.
As long as he's not doing try-on hauls, I'm still on YouTube.
Okay.
You better not start
All
that
right.
channel. All right.
For all the listeners that are still here with us, thank you. We are Skies, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank you, Dan.
thank
Thanks
you,
so
Dan.
much.
Bye, everybody.